What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, live better, laugh better, love better, make better love. Whatever you do in life, you do better with Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Sex on weed is better than booze by far.
There you go. And our Thursday night show, also presented by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Look, make your plays this weekend by downloading the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app like Jason and I have. We're going to get into our bets, what we're playing this weekend before we get into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. There's some great promos. When you make your first sports wager with Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook, they'll match it up to $500. Also, when you make your first sports wager, they'll match it up with a free bet up to $500. And when you fake your first deposit, they'll give you up to $500 in Fire Eye credits. I apologize, we'd fix that in post, but we do everything live, so sometimes I just suck at live reads, and I obviously apologize for that. Terms and conditions to apply. Players must be 21 years or older, have a valid and active Firekeepers Casino and iSportsbook account, and be a patron located within Michigan in order to be eligible. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Gambling Disorder Helpline, 1-800-270-7117, like many of us do, although we don't end up usually calling that number. Let's, before we get into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, Jason.
Yeah, man.
What are you playing this weekend, presented by Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook?
Well, I tell you what, I don't know what to do with the NFL, and looking at this slate, I feel like I'm going to bet the heavy underdogs, right? Because I think Atlanta might be the only one I might fade with Tampa Bay, but some of these other lines like we talked about with Harry, Kansas City, 9.5. I know they're at home against Denver. I still like Denver with a 9.5. Houston, I understand Tyrod Taylor, but Indy giving 10, I don't know if they can cover that. I just don't know what happens in the NFL on every Sunday, so you might as well just go heavy underdogs.
All right, I know what I'm playing, and there are two things I love. I love Georgia minus 6.5 against Bama on Saturday afternoon in the SEC Championship. I think Bama is a demon that Georgia's been waiting to slay. They're ready to do it. Bama's not that great this year, and Georgia is. Georgia's defense is ferocious. They're vicious, and they're out there to hurt you. And I think they're going to cover that minus 6.5. I'm all over that. Buy the half point as always if you can. And then I love Chelsea minus 132 on the money line at West Ham on Saturday morning. And so that's a 7:30 a.m. start. There's some other Premier League games that intrigue me, but I'm definitely on Chelsea, even though it's on the road. West Ham's not a bad team, but you get me close to even money for Chelsea to win at West Ham. Based on what I've seen from West Ham lately, I'll take that all day, every day. So those two games, I'll probably parlay it. I might throw Michigan in there as well, because I do also like Michigan against Iowa. And so those are our picks. That's what we're playing this weekend. We've obviously given out our can't-miss parlays as well.
I think we need music for it next week.
We do need a music.
We need something, yeah.
We'll come up with it. We'll come up with something for this segment. Presented by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Download the app today. Take advantage of their promos. User-friendly experience. You're going to like it. It's become our go-to app for me and Jason. And obviously, you can always go to Daisy Sportsbook, just off 94 at Firekeepers. Outstanding place for gaming, not just the sports gaming, but also blackjack, which is my favorite vice of all time, and just a cool place to have a night out. Good restaurants, often good entertainment, very cool place. But you can be at Firekeepers all the time, anytime, with the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. All right, Jason, before we dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Did you see my jersey that I received from a listener that does not want to be named, but I appreciate you?
It's badass.
Hank Gathers.
Hank Gathers.
Marymount jersey. Young kids out there, Gavin Haas. Look up Hank Gathers, Bo Kimball. Loyola Marymount.
Yeah, this is peak, like our age group. I mean, we're like 10 years old when this happened, when Hank Gathers died and Loyola Marymount had its run in the NCAA tournament. It's
Bo Kimball shooting free throws left-handed.
Legendary
Tribute.
stuff. Incredible jersey, too.
I know,
it's
man.
Incredible.
He didn't tell me what was he goes, I think it might be worth a couple $100. And I'm like, what? So then I showed up here tonight, and yeah.
No,
thanks to the listeners, man. You guys are great.
It almost makes you look good.
It really does. It like fits and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of apparel, you can buy Couch in the Rube apparel.
Yes, you can.
How about that segue?
Nice.
We've tweeted out the link, and it's on our Facebook page as well. Appreciate You shirts, College Refs Are Ass shirts, just Couch in the Rube logo as well. And you can purchase those through our Shopify store and make those a Christmas gift. And if you make your purchase by December 8th, you have to do it by December 8th, we'll make sure we'll do one bulk order and get those all to you by Christmas. So
and these shirts will be discontinued. We'll be smashing all of the filters or whatever they do to make shirts, so they're gone forever.
Really?
Get them now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know that either. I just thought that would be a good sales push.
Okay, I think you'll still be able to buy them.
If you never get them again, come on. If
you got like a January 15th birthday and you'd rather do it then, you probably could.
Right, I'm just trying to do the push for Christmas so we can make some money, but
okay,
it's just a little white lie there.
Okay.
Make sure they're rare. People want to get them. Nah, you can get them in April if you want.
All right. Before we dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions, we have an anonymous submission, a thought, a take. It's a little lengthy from a listener, a regular listener, but who does not want to be named, but has a little bit of an issue with one of my recent opinions, and so Jason's going to read that.
We could do the full 2 hours about people that despise you. All right. It is completely unreasonable in this current environment to ask Michigan State fans to get over their hatred and root for Michigan on Saturday. For what reason, Graham? Because it may ultimately grant them a better bowl game? I don't give a motherfucking fuck. Michigan State ends up playing the Toronto Argonauts practice squad in the parking lot of a Bob Evans in Oscoda with Dr. Fauci and Fran Drescher doing the commentating. And I don't want to hear their assholes on both sides rationale either, because before the clock even hit zero Saturday, both Michigan fans and former Michigan players couldn't get on social media fast enough to puff their chest and take pot shots at Michigan State. They bypassed their own throttling of Ohio State, a massive independent achievement, and moved right into Mel Tucker's contract. Little brother gifts Michigan State insignificance and how Hutchinson should be in New York over Walker. They just fucking beat Ohio State, and this is where their heads are at. This isn't fringe fans either, Graham. Sure, there's plenty of decent ones, but as a majority, they are the most repugnant fan base that lacks anything close to self-awareness. The problem is amplified, Graham, because Michigan fans are so delusional that they require no tangible success to be the way they are. Now they are actually a legitimate accomplishment. They've essentially been given keys to a Ferrari after gargling Harbaugh's balls and guzzling gallon of moonshine. You just cannot be serious with your advice. Do you think in 5 years I'm going to give any shits about MSU playing in the Fiesta Bowl instead of the Outback Bowl, when the trade-off is Michigan winning a playoff game and the subsequent verbal abortions that would ensue? No, Graham, abso-fucking-lutely not. Not only would I root for Michigan to benefit my own team, but I wouldn't root for them against 4 more years of Trump, the complete elimination of COVID-19, or a reboot of Charles in Charge. Also, storming the field when you're Michigan, lame, Graham. Harbaugh, third base troll, was also lame, Graham. He's also about as funny as aggressive 1985 AIDS. Jesus. You really are correct on most things, Graham. Well, this is where he's wrong. You're measured, you're thoughtful, you're practical. I take a majority of your opinions as gold. That being said, this one is just shit. Appreciate you.
I don't know who that is, although the AIDS comment might have given some of that away.
Cockburn.
But, well, no,
aggressive 1985 AIDS.
Yeah, and I'm hearing this a lot from people, that Michigan State fans could care. They take the Red Box Bowl, they take no bowl. They do not want Michigan to win this game. They do not want the joy that is about to come to Michigan, and the smugness that then will be turned on them. And I totally understand that way of thinking. And I also do think that these two different New Year's Six bowls are not created equal. Like the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, I think is still pretty cool, and obviously it does not eliminate what you're going to have to deal with from.
Caution! You are about to enter the spin zone with noted newspaper columnist and radio host Graham Couch.
It does not eliminate the shit you're going to have to deal with if Michigan makes a run here. It does not eliminate all those feelings, but the Fiesta Bowl is still pretty cool, and the Fiesta Bowl has been a national championship. It's a big deal game, and Notre Dame would be a big deal opponent to play in that game, and I think it would be memorable. Do I think it completely offsets the Michigan thing? No, probably not. The Peach Bowl, though, does not. The Peach Bowl is a New Year's Six bowl game that was just created. It's been around a long time, but it was given as sort of the extra New Year's Six game. It could have easily been the Citrus Bowl. The Citrus Bowl hasn't much history. The Citrus Bowl against an SEC team or the Peach Bowl against Pitt, not that different. And I think people would gladly fall down a peg or two, more than gladly. So I understand. I understand the sentiment, and I don't think everybody feels entirely that way, but I think a lot of MSU fans do, and I think a lot of it is because of the reactions they've seen from Michigan fans.
Who thinks that way? The crazy people that root for both Michigan and Michigan State, or root for the Big Ten because it's in the Big Ten.
No, I think
those are the people.
It's the people who are fans who aren't
rational.
No, who. I'm going to bring up my dad again just to play the dad card.
Shit.
I'm going to play the dead dad card.
There you go.
Okay,
Slap the dead dad card.
Yeah, the dead dad card wins every time.
All right, I can't do anything to that.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. People like him, reasonable folks who don't like to boo people. He wouldn't have booed Joey Hauser. He would have felt bad for the kid. Those sort of people. There are a lot of people out there who would not care as much that Michigan, not associate Michigan's pleasure with Michigan State's pain. And that's what I'm saying. I think there are people out there like that. Probably less than half, but there are people out there like that. All right, let's dig into these Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
That's all the reading I'm doing.
That was long. You got a lot more. We got a ton of them today. They're really, really good, though. Some outstanding stuff from you guys.
Thank you, Skymint.
Absolutely.
Eric Schultz. How would you assess Hoggard's play last night? I was worried when Walker picked up his third early in the second half, as he's clearly been a better option in the half court. But I thought Hoggard came in and did a tremendous job running the show.
Hoggard did play a good second half, but he is still like.
Can we just call him H-Dog? I hate his name.
I mean, Walker is Tyson Walker is a better point guard, and he just sees it better. To me, the thing about Hoggard to this point is he is so much likely to when he drives, he's likely to bully you over and pick a foul. Or if something's happening that is unexpected, he's not going to see it. If it's the play, he'll make the pass. There's a little bit of Tum Tum in that. He's better than Tum Tum in offensively. But what I mean is, Tum Tum was okay if the play worked, but if anything was improvised, it didn't happen. Tyson Walker just has a feel. And he's not a perfect guard. He's still, I think, trying to figure out some things right now. But I just think who he naturally is as a player is better. But I would say, I think that the ceiling for MSU is partly built on the play of these 2 point guards. And you want Hoggard playing well because he's going to play a lot. And you can have a lot worse backup point guards in the world. So, and the fact that he came in the second half and did play pretty well, I thought was important.
Next one from Eric Schultz. What's the percentage chance Jaden Akins ends his career at Michigan State ranked higher on Graham's top 50 than Max Christie? Has that percentage changed from what you would have said preseason?
I mean, I think there are decent odds at it. And there are a couple ways to look at this. One, I've always thought Jaden Akins is a 3-year guy at least. I mean, we don't know what he'll become, but he's obviously a good athlete. And I thought I've thought Max Christie could develop into a 2-and-done guy. Now, he had some games where you start thinking, wait, is that a 1-and-done guy? But it doesn't look like that right now. But sometimes being somewhere longer puts you higher on the list, like Cassius Winston above Miles Bridges, right? Miles Bridges, electrifying player for a couple of years, better than Cassius Winston for those 2 years. Cassius Winston sticks around, becomes a legend. So some of that can come into play. The longer Christie sticks around, converses that as maybe he's he
had 11 points and played great D, and you wanted to crown his ass this morning. Like, good God, Graham.
I thought he had a good game. I thought he had a good game.
I just saw the headline, and had to look up his stats. I'm like, did he have 35 points last night? What I missed? But he did play great deep. But
yeah, their leading scorer had 0.
Right.
And the other thing is he's not doing what's happening to Joey Hauser right now, right? He's not letting it impact the other. He doesn't come down and take a lot. Now, he's not getting as many open looks either. But he took 3 shots in the first 30 minutes. That's a guy who's not like forcing stuff. He's not worried about it. That's a really good place to be. I still think Max Christie, in certain ways, has a higher ceiling just because I think that shot is pure and it'll show up eventually. But certainly Akins glides, man. When that guy's in the air, it's like the antithesis of me jumping. So
does Gabe Brown, but sometimes he just lands wherever.
Yeah, it's not as pretty. Gabe Brown isn't as pretty. Yeah. I feel like Gabe doesn't have as much control over his body as Jaden does.
I think he does. I just don't think he gives a shit.
That might be it, too.
He just wants to jam on 5 people. Next one from Schultz. If you coach Izzo's team, how would you get Hauser going? Or now that he's 40-ish games into his MSU career, do we just need to accept he is who he is?
No, I think he's a good enough shooter that you want to try to get that confidence back in him. And we saw it with Chris Hill, probably the last player at MSU I can think of who was a shooter who was good at one point and then as his career went just upstairs, lost it a lot, right? I mean, Chris lost his confidence. And it sucks in that position because if your game is – if what makes you a quality Division I player is shooting, it can very much be a confidence thing that you lose to some degree. I wouldn't know that. I've never been in a shooting slump myself. But for some people – it can be, and so like if your strength is defense or passing, those are things you don't really lose, and you can just get down, focus, and it's all there. What I would do with a guy like Hauser is I look at these games against High Point, Toledo to some degree, although Toledo's not a team you can just fuck around against, but Oakland, High Point, Toledo, and what I'm telling him is you got to find it in these games, or we can't really use you in the Big Ten.
Can you really fuck around against Oakland?
I don't think you can fuck around, but what I mean is I'm looking
High Point. You had me at High Point.
I want him shooting, and I want him finding his shot before the Big Ten begins in January. Now, they got 2 Big Ten games, including a road Big Ten game next week. But the problem is if this is who you are and you get through 2 months of the season and you're not hitting shots and you're not, like last night he was -9 and Malik Hall is +18, and obviously Hall may take care of this. I mean, there's no debate whether who's more,
but
useful on the court.
For Hauser though, it's just box out and don't dribble, catch the ball, shoot.
He's got to hit shots.
I understand that, but you have to shoot it to hit shots, obviously.
Yeah, he's got to keep shooting. He has to keep shooting. I mean, because if he was hitting threes right now, this frustration from people wouldn't be there. It's because he's so open and he's missing almost every shot, and people are just frustrated. And look, it's
the turnovers too.
It's the turnovers. It's the pigment. There are a lot of things.
19 turnovers.
When you look a certain way, look, who are the last guys who frustrated MSU fans? It's Hauser, it's Kithier, it's Lawyer. What do they have in common? I mean, just tell Izzo flat out. If you don't want him to recruit white guys, don't do it. Just there's Russell Byrd. People got mad at.
Steven Izzo.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're not a graceful race. We're going to look like shit on the court.
Get these honkies out of here. Am I right? Next one from Schultz. If Oregon wins the Pac-12, any chance MSU gets the Rose Bowl to avoid an OSU-Oregon rematch?
Yeah, there is. I mean, I don't think it'll happen because I think if Michigan wins, obviously, if Iowa wins, they go to the Rose Bowl. If Michigan wins, the Rose Bowl gets the choice. They're likely to choose Ohio State over Michigan State. However, it is up to them. It is their choice, and it is within the parameters. They could absolutely choose Michigan State because the records are so even, and Ohio State go to the Fiesta Bowl. It would have to be the Rose Bowl would have to think that was a wash financially for them. And the way Michigan State traveled last time, you could see that argument. Again, I don't see it happening. I think they'll take Ohio State, but it would not to Graham Stout it, but it would not stun me. And I have confirmed with people that it's absolutely within the Rose Bowl's power to do that if they want to.
Dominic, should organized religion be dissolved for no other reason than me only getting 1 year of Kenneth Walker and 11 years of Brandon Sowards? Percentage chances Kenneth pulls a Miles Bridges.
0.
3.0.
Because even if he did, and he won't,
You're like, why? Why are you doing that?
the coaches would be committing malpractice if they let him come back.
Right.
Because basketball and football are just different, and he's a running back. Like I remember, times have changed a little bit, but I remember with Le'Veon Bell, they play their regular season finale to earn their what was the name of that bowl? The Buffalo Wild Wings Bowl invite. 2012. Le'Veon is asked about, will you come back next year? And he's, I don't know. And then D'Antonio is asked, well, what would you tell Le'Veon? And he said, well, I'll give you the ball another 300 times. And I wrote the column, he's got to fucking go.
Right. And running backs have to do that because the life in the NFL is, 3 years? You have 3 to 4 years to try to get that NFL money as a running back.
Yeah, you can't
waste another year in college.
You can't give 300 more carries to Michigan State.
Unless Matt Ishbia wants to pay him after he's done at Michigan State. Get him a job.
Right. The sort of wink guarantee.
Yeah.
You're making $40 million either way, man.
Right. We'll have you in our place. So S.J. Davison, my buddies all dogged me for this, but I'd take 4 years of Jaden Akins over 1 year of Amani Bates. What say you, Couch in the Rube?
Well, I would too at this point. Now, I don't know if Amani Bates is just going to be 1 year, but you look, Memphis is going to be very interesting this year. I don't know that they're going to be great. In fact, I don't think they will. I think they've got a problem with the point guard play. They're real young in a lot of spots. And so that's what you get. You get this kind of interesting year. But in terms of winning, absolutely. Very few guys would I take 1 year of over 4 years of somebody who you think can be great. Like the ceiling is sort of the 4 year guys. Let's say it's Cassius Winston, right? That's the ideal 4 year dude. And I'm not saying Jaden Akins will be that, but how many 1 year guys have come through you think of college basketball that you would take over him? I mean, Zion Williamson got beat by Cassius Winston in that Elite Eight, right? That didn't seem worth it. There have been a few, and
Ben Simmons, Durant, guys that were doing it by themselves because they went to a college where there was no help. Right?
Durant went to an Elite Eight, and that was it. And so
he was by himself pretty much.
There have been Duke had there have been some Anthony Davises. There have been a few that have won you a national title, or been that electric. So there are a few where the debate is there, but almost always the debate would go to the 4 year guy if you think he has a lot of potential.
Maybe. Will there be an assistant coaching change this year at MSU? If so, who?
I don't know. I don't have a feel for Mel Tucker on this. The way, obviously, with D'Antonio, we had a pretty good idea. He didn't want to do it. But with Mel, I don't know. And what I don't have a read on with Mel yet is how he feels about his staff everywhere. He's had, I didn't think he was going to make a move last year, and obviously Tressel left, but it was a weird year. It was a COVID year. Those guys had sort of been through a strange experience together and not really had a fair go at it. I didn't think it was really probably wasn't fair to get rid of any of your coaches. Most places it wasn't. And this year, though, he's got a good look at things. He'll have a feel. Scotty Hazelton was not his guy at Colorado, but he's a guy who's had really successful defenses. So we'll see what he thinks about these different guys. Jay Johnson, I'm sure he'll want to keep. It's a great question. I just don't have an answer.
Next one from me, B. How is it possible that I, too, have been on a bus to the halfway house, albeit in Denver? Either of you successfully fought off a purse snatcher?
I don't carry a purse.
Ain't nobody taking Couch's purse.
But by the way, Michelle, I would wonder, did you do it? And was it also on the bus that was on the way to the halfway house?
What do you mean, did she do it? Did she fight off the purse? She's still alive, so she fought off the purse snatcher.
Yeah, but did they get their purse? Did they get her purse?
Well, yeah, she probably handed it. Why would you fight over it, I guess?
I know my mom once got a thing where, they have those like almost, it's some sort of like weapon thing that
a baton?
No, it's like a hook. It's almost like a knife, but it grabs a purse without them and it's cut her pretty good on the side.
What the fuck? Where was she at?
In Lansing, man. Lansing's crazy.
A hook?
A hook. Yeah, it was like a Grim Reaper type spear.
Was this recently?
No, this is like 30 years ago.
Oh, the streets were mean even back then.
Yeah, man. Coming on, I think it was downtown Lansing. Actually.
Hook.
But so, have you ever been around somebody who's had to fight off a purse snatcher?
No.
Yeah,
I was the one stealing the purse.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, I've never been a part of anything like that.
I'm trying to think
that only happened in the movies.
Yeah, I don't think I've had it either, but I would be
I've
curious.
had women clutch their purses around me.
Yeah, well, I
when
can
I've been
see that.
around them, and they just like in the grocery store, they just got all tight.
I
Usually
used-
when I have my tattoos out.
I used to have women follow me,
Of course.
and I thought it was because I was like, just attractive or
Sure.
something. This is like college age in Chicago, and later I found out because I asked about it. I just noticed at one point I was like, I feel like women are following me, like college age women around Grant Park and around other places. This is really cool, and maybe I'm just better looking than I realized. I should have moved to the big city earlier. But what it turned out was in that area, and there were different shelters, and there was some characters that I wouldn't be worried about, but if you're a 5'3", 100-pound woman, you might not love, and they would follow you just to be close to what looked like a sizable dude walking. They just felt more safe. That's what I was told.
Wow. So this story went from you thinking that these women were following you because of your looks. They were following you because you were yoked.
That's right.
And you were going to protect them.
Yeah. Little did they know.
That's a story worth telling.
Hey, man, I was, when we did, my buddy and I followed two homeless guys for a night for a documentary in college. And I mean,
Where's that video?
we still have it.
Okay.
It's still out there.
We're going to have a viewing party. Couch
Yeah.
in the Roof viewing party.
It's still out there, and it was an interesting night. But he was like 5'8", 115 pounds. Like he was the technical wizard behind the camera, and I was the security. It was my
Why
project.
does everybody wayfish around there? 103 pounds. Your buddy's 115.
It's a film school, man. These guys
Are
don't
you eating all the food?
Yeah, these guys don't come from
Jesus.
They don't come from Ovid, man. They're not eating cattle every day.
God, I just had a mustard sandwich.
Yeah. That. By the way, that is a story we're telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. That's 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing. And I am going to Midtown Brewing Company tomorrow for lunch. Looking forward to it. Meeting a friend there, and very much excited for what is an outstanding menu and drink selection. And it is one of the best places, if not the best, to sit down with somebody and just have a meal, have a drink. Great, cozy, spacious environment. And I will be there Friday at noon for lunch. And I'm telling you, if you're looking for a great date spot or a place for a work meal or anything like that, or just a place for a drink after work, Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing.
Alex James, if Izzo asked you to coach his team, what do you do with didn't we have this already? What do you do with Hauser?
It might have been twice, but we might have it twice. I wouldn't entirely bench him, but you also, this is big boy basketball. You do have to at some point. The reality is Malik Hall needs to be on the floor. The reality becomes Pierre Brooks looks like he's in the rotation. Do you start to play smaller a little because more wings and guards have earned minutes, and you're moving Gabe Brown down to the 4 occasionally, or the minutes have to be earned? And I know that Izzo thinks of Hauser doing things on the court at a higher level than a lot of fans do, but he's going to have to hit shots. He's going to have to play better. And but I would give him this month certainly to find it, and because once you take him out of the rotation entirely, you've lost him, and that's a tough deal.
All right, up next is Alex James with this one. Is there a bigger douchebag in college football than Brian Kelly?
I'm sure there are.
Who?
I mean,
who's a bigger douche than Brian Kelly?
So I used to really like Brian Kelly, even though a lot of people think he's a douchebag.
He was at Grand Valley State. Yeah, right.
It wasn't even that. It was so.
But you can become a douche.
Yeah, and he and I think he was a douchebag all along. I mean, I've known people who've covered him, who've talked to him,
really
other coaches.
turned on him.
But what I mean is, when he first took the Cincinnati job from D'Antonio didn't really have any media access. Kelly was great. He was easy to deal with. So it was all from my perspective. And I covered the first game he ever coached at Cincinnati was that International Bowl against Western Michigan when I lived in Kalamazoo, by the way.
No shit.
And he was fantastic. He was all right. But yeah, I'm sure there are bigger douches than Brian Kelly.
Name one.
We don't know them. I mean, how many?
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, if you dig through he's probably talking about like head coaches.
College football's full of these guys. I mean,
Well, then name one.
Look at the dude who was at Cincinnati after being at Auburn, who's now a U.S. senator. There's a guy who's
oh shit, but he's not in college anymore. Tuberville, Tommy Tuberville. Yeah, he would count if he was.
He's the one
coach.
who told the students to go get a job when they were pulling them. I mean, there are a lot of those guys. There's
tons, but Graham can't name one that's currently a head coach. Alex James, are you guys really betting against Nick Saban in a must-win game?
I am.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because Nick Saban can't play defensive back
But we've seen it, right? Against Auburn, LSU. I mean, of course, and they played New Mexico State in November. But, I mean, we've seen how bad Alabama can be. And against Auburn, they had three points deep into the fourth quarter.
There is definitely a level of uneasiness because you can just picture everything going wrong for Georgia like it always does. But I've just seen enough of this Georgia team this year to think they're different.
But you know what's going to kill me, though, is the public money, and that Bear dude is probably going to pick Georgia and tell you to bet your house on it. Is it just too much of a public bet? Because you know it's too good to be true sometimes.
It's weird, though. The line hasn't moved at all.
Not even a half point.
Which is interesting.
It's scary. Alex James, if you were Luke Fickell, do you, number one, coach Cincinnati to their first and probably only college football playoff appearance and risk losing out on big job opening, or to leave now for Notre Dame/Oklahoma?
I stay.
And Notre Dame as a coach now, right?
Right. No, Notre Dame's not available. Oklahoma, to me, is a good job, but it's been winning. You're going to the SEC. But here's why I stay. Unless you know your program is about to fall off and you're like, shit, it's now or never, you're about to be a legend somewhere. You're taking Cincinnati to the college football playoff. And I always think one of the most enjoyable years is the next year after you do that, right? You are a legend in that community, on that campus. And if you leave, you especially right now, you a lot of that goodwill goes away. And look at, the comparison would be a guy like Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens won Butler to another level. And really the only way he could leave without, if he took the Indiana job, people at Butler would feel, what is that? Was to go to the NBA. I almost feel like for Fickell, the best thing to do is go take an NFL job for a couple of years, then come back to college. Again, this is my take on where he's going to wind up. And I know everybody thinks I'm crazy for it. I think he winds up as Iowa's next head coach. I think that's the type of job he winds up at, and he does it for 20 years. That's just my weird
Ferentz is going to retire?
Gut feeling. Eventually, a couple years. But I think Fickell stays at least another year and eventually will go. But I think they're taking care of him pretty well financially. There's something to being a legend with something you built, and I think it's worth sticking around.
Aaron Whiteford, is this MSU team matchup proof? But in all seriousness, will Hauser ever break out of the slump, or will he need a change of scenery and end up transferring?
So I think he does get the extra COVID year, right? So he will have another year in college hoops if he wants it, which I know Michigan State fans may be a little nervous about. I don't know. I mean, you want what's best for the kid, and if it's not going to happen for him, he should do that. This MSU team is not matchup proof, but what they are that's interesting is their identity is becoming on the defensive end, which is a good thing for them because they don't have yet consistent scoring that you can really count on. Even Gabe Brown, he has 10 points in the first half, kind of disappears. Malik Hall has had a couple games, and maybe they're going to have guys who develop into that role. I think still Max Christie will be a double-digit, 12, 13-point-a-game scorer this season. But they're going to have to win on the defensive end a lot. And so far, they've been really good. You look at their defensive numbers, they're up there in the country.
Andrew Gauthier, will this game be the starting point for Pierre Brooks getting more minutes? Looking pretty good in his limited playing time.
Yeah, I think, it's weird. Once you put a guy in the rotation, and Izzo keeps talking about slimming down the rotation, he adds a guy. It's difficult to take him out without that guy feeling like, what the fuck? And he didn't do anything poor. I thought he played pretty well defensively. He made a key three-pointer that put them up 8 in the first half, which was the score that they wound up taking to the break. And he's not scared to shoot the ball. He looks okay out there, and he's truly in the rotation because he got 2 stints in the first half, and then in the second half he got a stint. And that's when when they also play you in the second half for one stint, you're part of the rotation. I think he's in it.
Next one from Gauthier. Graham, can we stop comparing Hauser to Goins' season of playing the 5? Goins may have struggled defending Big Ten centers, but Hauser is crapping the bed in all areas of his game right now.
The comparison is how fans treated him. I mean, fans groaned every time Kenny Goins was in the game. That's what it was, because they wanted Nick Ward playing. And so it's just the comparison of how people feel about him that I think exists. Otherwise, they're different situations. Kenny Goins wasn't struggling necessarily. He wasn't even shooting three-pointers at that stage in his career or anything like that. Before we move on, Groovy Donuts has some outstanding donuts that are back in the mix. Christmas Sprinkles Gingerbread Donuts and the Red Velvet Donuts are back. Also, for Hanukkah, Sauvignon, I believe is how you pronounced it. Sauvignon.
Sauvignon.
Sauvignon. Sauvignon. Damn it. I thought I had it right, and now I've lost my confidence.
It's only the second year.
Yep. But the Red Velvet's back, and the Gingerbread Donuts, the Christmas Sprinkles. Lots of great stuff for the holidays at Groovy Donuts. And if you've got a Christmas party, if you've got just a gathering at your house, you want to do something special for your family, place your own order. You could have, your own team, your own kids' school logo. You can do whatever you want. They will do it special for you. Or just order like 12 of the red donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com to place that order, or go to either location. You can stop by at Williamston or on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing. All right, back to the Groovy Donut Twitter questions.
Next one from the GOAT. How long before Mel Tucker's deal looks like a bargain? The floodgates have apparently opened on coaching salaries this season.
Yeah, I don't know if bargain's the right word, but you brought it up, the whole idea of him being kind of like Matthew Stafford's contract.
Right.
I do think it'll seem reasonable.
Compared to Brian Kelly's contract?
Well, but
Riley?
Kelly's is only the same as Tucker's from what I've seen. I think those
I thought
earlier
it was $15 million.
Yeah, I think it's $10.95 too.
All right.
But either way, I think Tucker's will seem more reasonable, even if not a bargain.
Next one from Andrew. Is it just me or the folks most willing to criticize your work also the ones with the least idea how to improve it? I'm getting tired of the complaining for the sake of the crowd. This trend seems to be building lately.
I don't know who's complaining about your donuts, Andrew, but they can fuck themselves because your donuts are outstanding. And I've never.
It's weird because when I've been out to eat with them, they tell me stories about customers who are like assholes. I'm like, how do you just a donut transaction? How do you become an asshole in a donut transaction? You go in and go, can I get one of those donuts? And then you pay for a donut and you go to your car.
And even if you don't have the donut I want, I almost always love the other donut I get.
Yeah, fatty, there's multiple donuts for you.
Yeah, I mean,
what are you bitching about?
And they make a donut so much more. If you want to go to freaking Quality Dairy and freaking, schlep it with the peasants, do it, man. But I'm telling you, Groovy Donuts is where you ought to be. It's
Stop being an asshole.
Yeah. And when it comes to my work and criticizing my work, I mean,
that's easy.
Yeah, and most people know how to improve it. Just write better, think better. But
Next one from the GOAT. How come woke Twitter hasn't destroyed Love Actually yet? Now that's a cause I can support.
Because
what happened in that flick?
The wokest people, as much as they want to, they love Love Actually, and so they overlook all the issues. That's the issue. That's the problem.
Wokeness stops if it benefits them.
Woke people overlook Love Actually. It's too good. It's too good.
Why would they hate it though? Is there like a rape scene in it? I forget.
No. It's more that there's a lot of things with young women working for men, and so that becomes a relationship. It's the subordinate young woman working for a man. And you do have to get over some of those things, but those are most men's dreams as well.
Oh, shit. Andrew Gauthier, is there a seasonal/Christmas treat you'd like to see in donut form?
I mean, we've talked about like a Skymint donut.
Infused.
Yeah.
With a candy cane on top. Yeah.
We would take that.
A menorah made of donuts.
At a certain point, you get sacrilegious. I don't know where that line is.
Oh, is that? Okay, my bad. Chet Lemon, what's the most impressive?
I mean, would you do like a cross donut?
I don't know. I'm not religious,
Crucifix
so I don't care.
Donut? Yeah,
is that against?
I don't know. I don't
people?
even know either. I don't even know either. If maybe you're honoring people with a really cool donut.
Chet Lemon, what's the most impressive thing you've ever done?
What is it for you?
I got a selfie with the guy from Big Bang Theory.
That's it?
I don't know.
That's up there? Yeah, I convinced Elizabeth Couch to marry me.
That is true. That is impressive.
That's.
She had no idea what was to come.
Oh, there are so many. Yeah, I mean, the promises that were made.
Sweatpants.
Yeah, the promises that were
saw
made.
Those coming.
Oh. She thought I was going to play basketball professionally in Europe, and we are going to live over there and have little British babies. And
women used to follow me around campus. I was a protector.
She had no idea I was going to spend my Thursday nights doing a show called Couch in the Room.
Oh, yeah. Most impressive thing, I convinced Treese to marry me.
There you go.
Am I right?
Good save.
Good answer?
Good save.
I forgot. Chet Lemon, Would the pushback on Hauser even exist if he was knocking down threes?
By the way, I like this move by Chet Lemon here with using the ampersand with Hauser's name. So if he searches his name, it's not all attached to our show with everybody.
Let's be nice to Joey.
Just
He's not searching his name.
I don't know. I would hope he's not right now. The the pushback would not be if Hauser was hitting 40% of his threes, people would be okay with him.
Fantastic.
Yeah, people, absolutely.
Love you, Joey.
Results oriented
Search your name.
business. Absolutely.
It's pretty simple. Hit threes, search your name. Next from Chet Lemon. Any chance we see Gabe Brown at the 4?
Yeah, I do think there's a chance at some point. It'll depend on it won't be an every game thing or a certain matchup things, and it's a different position than the 3. But he's played it before. I believe he's played it before. Now I'm blanking on it, but I think he has played it a little bit. And if guys like Pierre Brooks and Jaden Akins start sort of demanding more time throughout or by their games, they're not experienced enough. Like Brooks may be thick enough to play the 4, but in terms of learning that position and everything you got to do, it would be tough. It would be tough for him.
Last one from Chet Lemon. Why is being a color commentator so hard? The endless nuggets of isms, such as Izzo calls those turnovers for TDs, or Hoggard lost 25 pounds during the summer, gets old. Am I just getting old / ornery, or is this the day and age of these commentators not knowing their audience?
I think there's a real. I mean,
it's us getting older. We hear every one of the isms you talk about.
But also, we all know a great commentator out there that entertains you, and we know the ones that don't. And there just aren't that many that are really good at it.
And it's a tough gig, right?
It is.
You have to be cheesy, and you have to do the isms.
And you're serving a lot of different audiences. So think about it. If you're doing a national broadcast, you're serving a national audience that's being introduced maybe to that team, but you're also serving the audience that watches that team religiously.
And that's why I like Dockich, because he actually got people going, got people talking, and was good at his job. He's just a douche, like Brian Kelly. Jordan Mack. Hold on a second. Make sure Facebook Live's on. Okay, Jordan Mack, sorry. Couch, why are you trying so hard to feed this Christie narrative? Seems like the MSU beat is just a mouthpiece for Izzo. Truth is, he looks like another big recruit, underwhelming under Izzo. Imani was smart to avoid Izzo's self-serving agenda to keep you guys around as long as possible.
Or to keep guys around. But yeah. So Jordan is
he's a Michigan fan, and I worked with him at Jimmy John's, and he once refused to deliver to the basketball office at Michigan State.
Well, I respect that, man. I respect Jordan.
So that's where he's coming from.
Yeah, no.
But I did agree, because I did wake up and see the headline, and I was like, shit, Max, what did he do last night? The Skyman must have really hit me. No, I missed 40 points.
I'm watching the game, and for a while, their top guy, I'm watching the box score. He's not doing anything, and I'm watching. So I just started watching Max Christie play defense, and I started watching him on offense. And is he forcing things? What's he look like? Does he look frustrated? Is he dropping his head? I mean, that's part of the problems Joey Hauser has is you can see the frustration right now, right? And Christie doesn't get those kind of open looks. He is the top player. Here's the other thing to know. The scouting report for opponents begins with Max Christie. That's where opponents are going, we're not going to let that guy get going. And so that's already happened to this freshman, and it's happened against now some high major competition with length and some guys who've been in the weight room a little longer than him. We'll see. I mean, he's not – like if you look at Gary Harris and his start, it was much better than Max Christie's game after 8 points, or 8 games in terms of points scored. But he did have, if you look at that roster with guys who – Keith Applings of the world and such, that opposing defenses had to worry about a little more. I still think I'm telling you, I still think this guy, and I've been wrong about guys. I was, the guy I was the most wrong with was Joshua Langford early on. I thought he would be a much better player as a freshman and become a much better player. Christie, though, I see as a pure shooter. I see it in practice. I just think it's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen this year.
But the problem is we've had it with Nick Ward. We've had it with Aaron Henry, where the preseason hype and the hype throughout it.
Ward was great, though, as a freshman.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. Right. But was he an NBA talent that everybody was saying he was? I didn't know it.
Right. And Christie might be we had Mike O'Brien, who covered him in high school, and Mike O'Brien thought he was a 3 or 4 year guy. And I look at Christie, and the more I watch him, I think just strength-wise and figuring things, I think he's probably coming back for another year. But I'm going to tell you this question right now. I think there are a lot of questions, we bring up things months later. I think in February, I'll be able to answer this question by just saying, look what he's done since. That would be my argument.
Nick Stenholm. Who leads MSU in rushing next year? Collins, Simmons, Joyner, or Berger? Or a transfer to be named later?
It's a great question. And does everybody stay? I mean, the problem with Jordan Simmons is he plays football a little bit like A.J. Hoggard sometimes plays basketball, and it's running into people that are in front of him instead of getting around him at a vision thing, because I think he's got some talent. Otherwise, it'll be very interesting. I don't think it's likely this year, unless they land a big recruit, and they're still going after guys, that they have a more as much of a one-back deal as they did with Kenneth Walker. Because I still think Elijah Collins is a really good back. He's been hurt this year. I think his attitude towards things has been tremendous. I think they like Elijah Collins. They respect him a lot. And he'll get a look next year. I think he will, and I think that would be a hell of a story. Look, you're very unlikely. The Wisconsin kid who's transferring and didn't do it. He was a big-time recruit, but he hadn't done a lot yet at Wisconsin. And again, nobody knew Kenneth Walker was going to be this good either, so that could always happen at some point. But I think you're very likely to have a situation where you're playing two guys a lot, a third guy some, and somebody's unhappy or is left.
Now, this says Nick Eastlick. Is this Chris Eastlick?
This is Chris Eastlick. All of these are Chris Eastlick.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Chris Eastlick. Does Jalen Berger's commitment, pledge, reflect how the coaches feel about the other backs like Collins and Simmons, or is it another chance to up the competition in the room?
Yeah, it's because you don't take a chance at not having the guy. I mean, they're recruiting a big-time prospect now. What you don't want to ever do is it's like, you see it happen to basketball programs. You get caught without a point guard. You get caught without enough guards. You don't want to get caught without something. And you let these guys compete to figure it out. I think they still think Simmons is a good player. I think there are things about Collins is a good player. There are things about Simmons they like. There are things about him that I don't know that vision-wise that he's a really good one-foot-in-the-ground guy and goat. He's a strong runner. Is he an every down back? I don't know, and I don't think they're real convinced of that yet either. So you're trying to have options.
Next one from Chris. Who do you think is the odd man out between Berger, Collins, Simmons, and Joyner, or will Joyner go the way of Connor Hayward?
You certainly do see him perhaps being used in the passing game more, but he's not built the same as Hayward. So I would, I guess it's possible he's 6'4" too. He's an interesting sized dude. I have no idea. I just don't have any idea because I haven't seen the kid from Wisconsin play yet.
Next one from Chris. After the Bahamas and last night's win, where do you rank MSU in the Big Ten power rankings? They've looked better than the Wolverines so far.
Yeah, behind Purdue. Ohio State's a team that I loved in the preseason. Then they looked like shit, and then they beat Duke, and Duke collapsed for that to happen. I still don't know how much I trust Ohio State. Illinois has had some illness and things. I think it's going to be pretty good. But I would say after Purdue, Michigan State is in the argument with everybody. There's nobody who's better than Michigan State right now. And there are probably 2 or 3 or 4 other teams that belong in that conversation, and we just have to look at it. I mean, Maryland I really liked a lot. Maryland lost to that Louisville team we just saw last night and got just battered on the boards. I think Michigan State's a pretty good team, and they have a chance to be in the thick of it. The problem might be for every Big Ten team this year that Purdue is just that good. They look legit, and that just might be what it is.
Last one from Eastlick. Favorite Christmas movie?
Without question, it's Love Actually. I mean, it's. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas Vacation. What are you talking about?
It's a great movie, but Love Actually is a fantastic movie with all its young women working for or dating men they work for. I can get.
Who notices that?
Lots of people. Lots of people. But
so young women can't work for dudes anymore?
No, they can't date. Every relationship shouldn't. In that movie, stems from somebody that works for an older guy.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Uh-huh. And what's wrong with that?
But nothing. If you suspend reality a little bit, because one of the things that's awesome is even women that I know who are as woke as you can woke and be love that movie, and they're willing to just deal with that because the movie is so damn.
I need names.
So damn good. We've got some great questions coming up. Clinton Bainey, Max Christians, Mr. Ben Jen, Jeff Peterson, Ryan Allen, Atticus, Nick Palmer, Jason Akins, Mark Snyder, Gavin Haas, and so on and so forth. We're going to take a really quick break. Couch in the Room presented by Skyman Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Sky Mint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Sky Mint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Sky Mint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Trust matters, especially when it's your money. Mark and Jay at North Coast Wealth Management work hard to build a relationship of trust by providing thoughtful, objective guidance and placing your interests first. Invest with knowledgeable financial advisors who are on your side. Call today and tell them you're a friend of the show for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation. 248-626-2000 and ask for Mark or Jay. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch and the Rube, presented by Sky Mint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Download the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook today. You got games you want to play this weekend like Jason and I do. It's a great place to get all sorts of promotional bonuses and just play around a little bit. I think you're going to like the user friendliness of it, and we've had a great time with it. And Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Download it wherever you download your apps. All right, Jason, you ready to get back to these Groovy Donut Twitter questions?
Yep. Clint Bainey, Couch. In 2015, you came up with the best 50 Spartan football players of all time. In the last 6 years, what players would you add and what players would you replace, if any?
It's a good question. I saw this. There have not been a lot, which speaks to where they've sort of been. And, it's harder to make the top 50 in football because there's so many guys on a football team than it is the top 50 in basketball. All the top 50 in football are great players. Akari Willis would be a guy you'd look at a little bit when you look. And obviously the one guy I think now that would certainly be on there is Kenneth Walker, for sure. Where a guy like, where any of the receivers, I'm trying to think if they've had anybody else. I think it would just be Jaden Reed, who you look at, and down that list quite a ways are the Derek Masons of the world and people like that. So it's not a given, but it would have to be a good it would be an interesting evaluation. The one guy for sure who would be on that list is Kenneth Walker.
Max Christians, what do you think Joey Hauser needs to do to get back from his slump? How much do you see his injury playing a factor in this fiasco? Really looks like he's in his own head at this point.
Yeah, I think it's all psychological here, and I think he's struggling, and the problem is too now is he can feel it with the fan base there. There was some boos for him last night, and I'll tell you it impacts them. And I'm not telling people they shouldn't react a little bit, but what I'm saying is, like, if they're sensing the crowd is going to be down on them, or there's almost a gasp or a groan every time, it matters. And I'll give you a great example of this. In 2014-15, It was the year that their home road free throw disparity was incredible. They were awful at the Breslin Center and really good on the road, and it became a thing, almost like the turnovers this year. I think it was Travis Trice, who might have been 86% free throw shooter on the road and something like 60% at home, because every time somebody got up there was like the air came out of Breslin. People were waiting for the miss, and it became a thing, and it was in their heads. And I'm not saying that's fans' fault. I'm just saying that it feeds on itself, and it's really hard to get out of this at this point for Joey. He needs a day, hopefully for him, Saturday against Toledo, where like 3 or 4 threes go in, and it feels good. And the next game he comes back and hits 2 or 3, and all of a sudden he just feels like himself.
Mr. Benjen, during your time at the LSJ, who running out to play has made the fans maddest? Hauser, Nick Hill, Tum Tum, quarterback Keith Nickel, pre-senior Goran Sutan.
Who would it be for you? What do you think?
It has to be Foster Lawyer, right?
Lawyer's up there.
Consistently, I feel every game Lawyer was being blamed.
People were down on Tum Tum. They didn't like Nick Hill, but then
could be worse. Could have cancer. Right.
Hauser's up there right now, though. I feel like he's up there. I'm trying to think of.
So what do we need to do? Sing Kumbaya, get on Twitter, and give a positive message?
No, he's got to. First of all,
booing at the game, I can understand.
He's got to be smart enough to stay off social media at this point entirely. And then and not every kid is sort of mentally able to get over that stuff. He's got to find a way. They've got to help him through it. And if he has a game, people got to be ready to embrace him, and I think that would help. But I don't remember the Keith Nichols stuff because I wasn't covering the program that time, nor was I with the early Goran Sutan years. I know Tum Tum. I know the Kenny Goins stuff, and certainly the Foster Lawyer deal.
Sowards? In his 9 years here?
That was mostly Dominic, but
no, it was a lot more people.
Yeah, that's true.
Mr. Benjen, I said on this show MSU basketball would be second in the Big Ten before the season started. Percentage chance of getting there?
As good as any team, I think. Now, there are other teams, Ohio State, that's just as good as Michigan State, so you want to break down the percentage, but 33, 30, 25, whatever the percent is. I think there's a chance, though. Purdue right now just looks better than other people. Michigan looks like a mess. We'll see if they can figure that out. They do not have great guard play, point guard play especially.
That was bad last night.
It was ugly. And
is North Carolina really that good?
I don't know, but it dropped a little on them to make the Final Four after that. I was like, just in case.
After that game?
Just in case. Yeah, their odds were still incredibly long. I was like $10, won like 800 or something.
Because they beat a Michigan team on a 3-game losing streak.
Any team with long odds that has a chance, I want to be in on that, So that's what I do. I just fire up the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app, and boom, and now I'm in.
This guy's good. Jeff Peterson, I'm beginning to think Izzo does not know what to do about the turnovers. I mean, has he ever given a response to a question other than better coaching or we're working on it? Thoughts?
I
think he doesn't have any idea what to do about it.
Well, we had a long chat with him today, actually, about the turnovers, and he's, to his credit, he's pretty blunt and hard on them at this point, because I even said at one point, does it start to get to a point where, because it doesn't look like they don't value possessions. Like, there are young teams that just don't get it, right? And I think they don't look like that. And so does it become a point where they're almost scared to make a turnover and it makes it worse? And he said, his basic thing is, I don't care. You have to have some pride and, you're playing at Michigan State. You shouldn't turn the ball over. You got to be strong with the ball. You got to, and so I think a lot of it is just drilling it. A lot of it is using playing time as the way to correct it. Like, even with Gabe Brown, who steps out of bounds like every other minute, Izzo brought that up. Like, if you can't control your feet, we're not going to give you the ball as much. Like they're very clear at this point. This is the way to play yourself. The fewer minutes or more minutes is turnovers, and some kids are going to figure it out and other kids aren't, and then they're going to use that as a way to do it, I think.
Jeff Peterson, Oxford High School. How many more times will this happen before?
Once Sandy Hook happened, it's just going to keep happening. There's no change ever going to be made. It's sad, but because I remember Sandy Hook happened the day of or the day before. I believe it was the day of the game they played at Jennison Fieldhouse against Tuskegee. You remember they played that basketball game there? Where they did a throwback game that was supposed to be 50 years since the 1963. Since the commemorate the 1963 game between Loyola and Mississippi State and Jenison, except they couldn't get either of those teams there, so they played Tuskegee. But that was the day of. I remember I wrote a really shitty column trying to blend the two. Can you imagine trying to blend?
Jeez.
Yeah, not great. But it wasn't like, hey, Keith Appling had a layup, and then I thought about this shot. No, it wasn't like that. But it was.
There's a lot of people on Twitter doing that.
But it was.
Holy shit!
It was more. It was more about how difficult it was to write it, because it must have been that day. Because I remember just thinking that day, like, it's very hard to have your head in this. Like, this does not feel like what we should be writing about. But anyway.
Jeff Peterson, can you think of a more god-awful Christmas song than Barbra Streisand's version of Jingle Bells? Like fingernails down a chalkboard to the ears.
I cannot, but you know what I do love is Hoff's. Is
this the right speed? Did she do like a line of coke before she recorded this?
If we get kicked off YouTube for this shit, I'll be pissed. This is all whatever.
Is this for real? That's hot garbage.
It is definitely not Hoff doing Feliz Navidad. That is where we get some Hoff Feliz Navidad just for my own entertainment.
That'll get us kicked off.
Feliz Navidad.
Woo.
Feliz Navidad.
Woo.
Oh
God, that's awful.
I have never heard that.
It's not as bad as Proud to Be an American by Lee Greenwood.
Bullshit. That is hideous.
Yeah, so is Proud to Be an American. At least that's like
That's about America.
Yeah, but they're both songs you could do better just by yourself in the shower, without question.
Good God. Ryan Allen. Give me one more player that has to step up and ball out for this MSU team to be a Final Four team, in your opinion.
Right. Well, you want to look at guys that have high ceilings that, like I think there's a couple things. One, Malik Hall, I've always thought, since his freshman year, had a chance to develop into elements of Draymond Green's game in terms of being very complete. And part of the reason it might not have happened last year is they didn't have a summer to really work on their games. They didn't have that offseason, the COVID year. And you're starting to see that here and there. And so if Malik Hall really takes off this year, maybe that. Or if it's Max Christie or Jaden Akins, although Jaden Akins is I don't know that's maybe it will. Maybe it will happen. But somebody with a high ceiling, like Gabe Brown is who Gabe Brown is going to be, I think. And that's a good player. But somebody who's going to have to take off who has the potential to take off. I also think Tyson Walker is a guy who can shoot it, can do a lot more offensively, and is sort of holding back on being that guy, I think, worrying about being too aggressive. And I wonder at some point if we won't start to see that a little more. But I think it's Max Christie. I think it's Malik Hall. It's guys like that really finding another level that we haven't seen yet, and that changes who Michigan State is.
Next one from Ryan. Why does it feel so good that Michigan basketball is so bad?
Because their football program is about to make the playoffs.
Is that why Juwan Howard was hugging Harbaugh really tight because he knew he had a shit basketball squad?
Thanks for taking the attention off me.
Oh, you're the man. Thank you so much. Wait till you see us against North Carolina, fuck. Ryan Allen, not a question, but everyone needs to chill the fuck out on Hauser. Izzo basically said in his presser that Twitter ran the other two kids off, Lawyer and Kithier.
Yeah. Okay. Yes and no. I mean, Izzo is a little full of shit on that. I do think that Twitter was hard on those kids. Social media was hard on those kids, and it made their experience less. And it may have contributed a little bit. But Kithier needed a fresh start, and that was sort of a MSU helped him find a place as well. And Lawyer, I think, wanted to play, and it wasn't going to happen at MSU. And that had more to do with who Foster Lawyer was as a player than what happened on social media. Did it make it easier to leave and say, okay, I'm good getting out of here? Maybe just a little bit. And the other thing I would recommend for all these kids, although they might be drug testing them still, is Skyman. Like if I'm Joey Hauser, I'm walking into one of 3 Skyman locations in the Lansing area. I'm getting some gummies. I'm getting some pre-rolls.
Getting blazed up, and just can't hurt.
And then I'm letting it fly. I don't know if I'd play stoned, but I would definitely stay off social media, spend my off days a little high.
Atticus, Which do you think Jason finds more annoying? Michigan fans acting like they won a natty in their first win over Ohio State since 2012, or Graham feeling himself over his parlay and gambling picks on Hot Take Sundays?
Well, I'll ask you.
You know what? Listen, I am happy that Graham gives out good advice. Yes, it is annoying, but it isn't even close to Michigan fan and the way they reacted after beating Ohio State and rushing the field and crying and saying, this one is for blah, blah. They're just naming every random player in the past 10 years. It's douchey.
Well, I think the bigger issue is
we're acting like Harbaugh. All of a sudden, erase everything that he hasn't done because he won one time against Ohio State. So everything's off the board now.
I think
lifetime contract.
The bigger issue most MSU fans have is some of their interactions with Michigan fans and sort of throwing it in their faces, which I still don't understand. If you're a Michigan fan, like this is amazing. Like, live in your own accomplishment. You know, I mean, this is an incredible run. This is a chance to show the program's on firm ground, to win a Big Ten championship, to get to the playoff, all the great things. I mean, throwing it in your in-state rival's face, who still kind of has a grip on that rivalry, who's been to the playoff once, who's won multiple Big Ten titles since you last did. Like, I don't know what your point is. That's the thing. And
Michigan State fans wanted to give you credit. It was a dominating performance against Ohio State. If that was the other way around, when Michigan State played Ohio State, Michigan fans would be talking about what excuse Michigan State had, or how lucky they got against Ohio State.
I also think, though, that when we say Michigan fans here, we're talking about a certain segment that just can't help themselves on Twitter, and it's a smaller segment than maybe the MSU segment that really wants to see them lose at this point. I
don't think so.
No?
I don't know, man.
I know a lot of much more reasoned Michigan fans than I see on Twitter.
Yeah. Nick Ballmer, have you ever interviewed Brian Kelly? How'd it go?
I have several times. He was at Central Michigan when I covered Western, lived in Kalamazoo, by the way.
Take a drink, take a shot.
Yeah. So I've interviewed him a few times. Interviewed him at the International Bowl, which was by the way, one of my best gambling experiences in the International Bowl 2006 season. The game was played it's one of the last bowl games right before the national championship, like January 7th, 2007 or January 6th, 2007. And we got to stay. The game was at the Rogers Center, the old Sky Dome. And we got to stay in the hotel that was in the part of the Sky Dome. And my buddy Wes Morgan, he was really big in online poker. And this is the early days of online poker, right? 2006-ish or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know poker that well, but we would sit down there, and I would be in the room with him, and he would just tell me what to do, and we double teamed it and won a crap load of money, which is probably cheating. It's probably not good
collusion.
To do.
It is.
It's collusion. Yeah.
It's multiple accounting.
But it was right. But it was a fun. It was a great experience. And I've interviewed him a couple of other times. I interviewed him in 2012 when I took the MSU the job covering MSU here. Went down to Notre Dame and talked with them briefly, but that's about it.
Jason Akins, as far as recruiting purpose, should MSU be excited, scared, or meh about the coaching changes at Notre Dame?
And by the way, I've only had good interactions. Kelly's never been a dick to me. I know other people see him as a dick, including Luana K. Simon, the former Michigan State president, when he interviewed for the job that eventually went to Mark D'Antonio, was not a fan of Brian Kelly. There was no way Brian Kelly was getting that job. And other people, including Alan Haller, knew that D'Antonio was the guy. I don't know, Marcus Freeman is a recruiter, and I don't know that MSU folks should be scared of what Notre Dame's doing right now. I think everything I know about Freeman and what's going on there, I think it's a logical hire right now, and he seems like a bright young coach, and they have a decent staff, but I don't know if there's anything to be nervous about.
Mark Snyder, what are the top 5 publications you would pull at Brian Kelly and leave the LSJ and your podcast for if they doubled your salary?
Well, let's just start with doubling the salary, and there'll probably be quite a few. No, but top 5. Kidding. I would, if I wanted to be somewhere else, I would leave. This is a bucket list job for me, and it's my hometown. So,
sounds like what Brian Kelly would say if he was a writer for the Lansing State Journal.
Yeah, and then he'd leave. Yep. Let's see. Top
Graham
5.
Couch announces The Athletic.
So to me, it would be cities. It would be cool. I mean, obviously, the New York Times would be something that would be really cool. The Chicago Tribune, and it's not what it used to be when it was in Trib Tower. If my wife had wanted to stay there, I would have looked at. But cool cities like, I love Portland, Oregon, places like that. I would love to live in a town like Portland. towns you can get your arms around, but have a similar job to what I have. Indy, Portland. There just aren't that many, though. I mean, there are a few places that I would consider a little bit, but I'm real happy here. And I'll say that today, and Gannett will lay me off tomorrow, and who the hell knows. But it's, I'm here because I want to be here. And, if I wanted to leave, I would have done so a long time ago.
Mark Snyder, what's worse, the MSU basketball offense where they pass it around like a hot potato up and down the three-point line just to jack up a last-second shot, or the 10 to 15-yard cushion the Michigan State defensive backs give every wide receiver on 3rd and 10?
What's worse to you?
You know what? That's a great question. I got to say the turnovers, they're winning. And I know Michigan State won with the defensive backs doing that, but it was more frustrating watching the defensive backs, so that's my answer.
Yeah, I think the defensive back thing is one of the most frustrating things in football, even when it's done as a strategy, even when it's done for a wise reason.
Next one from Mark. Who is the most underrated Lansing area athlete in the last 20 years?
A lot of people would say, I don't know, underrated, but Antoine Bagwell, the East Lansing running back, would be up there. I don't know. So 20 years is since 2001, so it eliminates Ron Banks.
He's a write-in candidate.
Write-in candidate. And I don't know that he's underrated. You'd be crazy to underrate him. I mean, it's not many people in the world that should be above Ron Banks. But, Antoine Bagwell maybe at East Lansing High School football player might be it.
Gavin Haas, is MSU pretty much guaranteed a New Year's Six bowl right now?
No, not at all. I mean, if Iowa and Cincinnati were to lose, either of those were to happen, it would get dicey. And if both were to happen, they almost certainly would not be in a New Year's Six game. But if all the favorites win because they're number 11 and not number 12, leaving room for that ACC champion to be in the top 12 that's not in the top 12 right now, if Michigan wins and Cincinnati wins, yes, I would be stunning to see them fall out without playing a game.
Next one from Gavin. Why don't you think Jayden Reed returns next year? This year is a loaded wide receiver draft class, and he's not projected as a top 10 wide receiver.
No, it's a fair question. It's something I've got to look at, and I've got a couple scout friends that I can reach out to on this, and I've talked to about but scouts often have differing opinions too. Like I talked to one about Connor Hayward, who some people have pretty high up there, and is a guy who's going to be drafted in that H-back role, and he's going to the Senior Bowl. And one of the scouts is like, somebody must really like him. He's going to the Senior Bowl. We don't really have him as a guy who's going to be drafted, right? So people have different opinions on somebody. The thing about Jayden Reed is, what else can you do at the college level? He's been fantastic. Like, is there another gear? When a guy like Plaxico Burress, who obviously was 6'7", 230, different NFL prospect, but when he came back, his sophomore year, he was really inconsistent with his hands, dropped a lot of balls. Jayden Reed has not been inconsistent with his hands. He's made some incredible plays. And so sometimes you have your moment in college, and whatever you are is what you're going to be, and what's the value really of coming back? And so that's what I'm saying. And if there's value to him in coming back for the NFL, and he can see that, maybe. It's like Jalen Naylor, who I think will test well because of his speed. Jalen Naylor, it probably makes sense to come back, especially if Reed doesn't, to be the number one guy. But if you're Naylor and you've been hurt like 3 out of the years you've been in college, and you might want to, whatever great years your body has to give you, you might want to spend it in the NFL, and you might think you can make a roster.
Next one from Gavin Haas. What's stopping this year's basketball team from winning the Natty, other than Joey Hauser, of course? I'm kidding. That's not funny.
There are a lot
Be nicer, Gavin.
I mean, the thing is, when you look at the Gonzagas of the world and you look at Purdue's, I mean, first of all, there's role definition. They need to figure out they need to have a score at that level, and they need to have it consistently. Michigan State is a team that I think could make a run if certain things come together in March, and on a given day beat a lot of teams. But it's one of those, you're not going to predict them to be matchup proof, and it's going to be hard to predict to happen because they're inconsistent. The one thing that I'd say is really good, though, their identity early on is defense, and they're starting to play exceptional defense. And if that becomes who they are and that travels and that's a night in and night out deal, then that can raise their ceiling if something like Malik Hall becoming a real stud, or Max Christie stepping up and becoming a 15-point game guy, something like that can change who they are.
Molon Lobby Spartan. Tucker's assistant cash pool is up. Defensive secondary is an issue. Who stays? Who goes? Hazelton, Barnett, Tillman.
Yeah, again, we talked about this earlier. I have no idea what Mel Tucker's thought is of his staff right now and what he thinks of Scotty Hazelton. I mean, he might look at Scotty Hazelton and be like, holy shit, we didn't have squat, and that man, made chicken salad out of chicken shit, and we got through 8 weeks 8-0 somehow. He may look at it that way, totally different than other people. Or he may say, that didn't work, and we didn't adjust well enough, and we either need to make some changes together or with somebody else. The other thing is, this is his, with D'Antonio, it was like year 4 of wondering if he was going to make staff changes. Things weren't working. I'm also a believer sometimes that as a staff, you might want a year together to try and figure something out. I don't think there's anybody that has to go, and I don't think people should be dismayed if he brings back the same crew next year after going 10-2.
Next from Molon Lobby, Spartans. Winners and losers so far in the coaching carousel. Kelly to LSU seems strange.
Well,
it's got to be Oklahoma.
Yeah, they're the loser. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's leaving.
Well, and now they're going to the SEC. They're losing all their recruits. They're going to the SEC. And you got baited. Texas screwed you. The only way Texas – I had a friend text me this. I want to give my buddy Larry Marasco credit. He basically said the only way – Texas couldn't take down Oklahoma. So what they did is they screwed them, and they baited them into going to the SEC with them. Lost their coach. Was like, I'm not doing that. He goes to an easier conference to dominate with USC. And the only way Texas could ever screw Oklahoma over was to bring them to the SEC with them, and now Oklahoma's toast too. That would be my my argument there. But I think, Oklahoma certainly, I think Notre Dame will be fine. LSU made a good hire. I don't know who else is open at this point. Virginia just came open. They'll get somebody good. The big winner to me is Cincinnati because they made the playoff, or look like they're going to make the playoff. They were able to keep
biggest winners. Florida got rid of Dan Mullen.
That too.
Next from Molon. Why does the college football playoff board act like it's so difficult to expand? 12 teams. Get it done.
It drives me fucking insane. 12 teams would be so fun. And you think about what 12 teams would be. If it was 12 now, Michigan State would probably be in the playoff. And no, would they be a team that's likely to win a national championship? No, but how fun would that be? Again, it's like college basketball. Each team has their own national championship in certain ways. Certain teams in the mid-major level, they hang Sweet 16 banners. They have parades for that stuff. That's really cool in the NCAA tournament. You get to a Final Four, you get a banner. For a lot of schools, that's an amazing, amazing accomplishment. For some schools, it is winning the national title. For others, low majors, it's just getting into the tournament. And one thing the 12-team tournament and expanding that will do is if you get into the playoff, that'll be a really cool thing. And then because there's going to be the thing I love about the 12-team playoff, more than 8, and it took me a while to see this, is that in the 8-team playoff, if you're the 8th team and you've got to play the 1 seed, if you're usually the mid-major or you're going to run into Georgia, it's a tough first round. Instead, those teams all get byes, and it's 12 versus 5. It's a game that's competitive. It's what might be the Fiesta Bowl anyway. And that would be a really entertaining game, especially if that was on a campus site. So, yeah, they ought to get it done.
MSC Smokestack, why isn't there more concern about the lack of buyout in Mel's new deal? I understand Mel had all the leverage, but he's not really locked in for 10 years if he can leave whenever he wants. How does it help assure recruits if another school could offer him even more money tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I've heard people say they're concerned about this. Here would be the counterpoint. Number one, they are locked in for a long time. It's not the full contract for Michigan State. The donors owe, more than a third of it. So that's not MSU's money all the way to the 9.5 per year. But it's a lot. The likelihood is he'd leave before that, or they'd work something out. And I don't know if they'd be, what they'd do with donors to help them if they really had to pay it too. And it's a good question. It's the risk they're taking to keep him. And the buyout and the lock-in. I mean, it's a Mel Tucker friendly deal. There's no doubt about it. And how does it help assure recruits if another school could offer even more money tomorrow? It doesn't, except you can say he's locked up, even if he's not. I mean, that's part of the deal with these deals. Everybody can say whatever they want. I mean, MSU can say, no, we've got him for 10 years. Look, it's a 10-year deal. Mel Tucker could leave tomorrow, but that's going to be left out of the recruiting pitch.
Professor, what is the best college football coaching job, open or not?
What do you think the best job is? Like, if you had one job,
Michigan, right?
It would be Michigan?
Right?
Why? Why would it be Michigan?
Everybody's telling me that. Jim Harbaugh has the best job in America.
It is.
No other team wants him because he's got the best job.
Well,
So-
it is an administration that I think has some reasonable qualities. They don't generally fire a coach irrationally there, which is not. So it's not a bad job. And Notre Dame has its limitations, but it's also a place that's historic that I understand the appeal for a lot of people. It's too hot in the South, so those jobs are out
And
automatically.
if you go undefeated because you're an independent, you go right to the college football playoff at Notre Dame. So maybe that is a better job.
Yeah, I think the Pac-12 jobs could be pretty good. Quality of life out there, little off the radar, odds to get to the play, still a path to get to the playoff. Like in terms of my own quality of life, in terms of just the best possible gigs, I mean,
Like Nick Rolovich at Washington State getting $3.5 million
yeah,
to coach there.
it depends. I guess.
like, why?
How do you define best? Is it like this is the greatest quality of life, or best chance to win?
Yeah, like Mark
big?
Few with Gonzaga. I mean, like just want to stay in one spot and be happy the whole time, right? It's the same with college football.
Yeah.
Mark, if MSU fans are secure in Mel Tucker and being 10-4 over Michigan in the last 14 years and the general direction of the program, then you should want what's best for MSU and not care about other teams. To make this a question and not a hot take, shouldn't MSU fans be happy if Iowa loses on Saturday? Root against Michigan later.
So this is the point that I
No.
tried to make, but I've been shot down by many.
Yeah, no.
Well, the only way it would even, I mean, you don't want Michigan, if you're a Michigan State fan, to have a Big Ten championship. I understand that. The only way there's any solace is if they got just creamed in that first playoff game. The problem is they're not going to play Georgia in that first playoff game, so that's not going to happen. I mean, I get it. But I think I don't think either way of looking at these things is wrong. You're not wrong if you're at home saying, I don't care if Michigan wins. I want Michigan State in the best bowl. And you're not wrong if you're at home.
You are.
How you feel is how you feel, man.
No, you're wrong.
No.
Yeah.
I'm the king of telling people they're wrong for how they feel. How you can't. That's my thing. And
All
I'm
right.
telling them right now. It's how you feel.
You're
is how
wrong
you feel.
too.
Okay. Yeah.
Couch on fire, harder to stomach. Oh, we did this one. MSU's football defensive backfield or basketball's turnover. Defensive backfield. Right. Next one from Couch on fire. Over under on Hauser complaints 20.
I don't know where we're at. We're about there though. I would take the over. By the time
Oh,
it's
in
done.
the Twitter questions?
Yeah.
Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even put them all in. Put it that way. If
How
you're
nice of
missing your question, it's because it was on Joey Hauser.
Couch on fire. Did the Big Ten just squash whatever chance Kenneth Walker had left for the Heisman by giving the Offensive Player of the Year to Stroud?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that'll be voted on entirely independently by a lot of people. And there is a chance that, Stroud and Alabama's QB will split the I was going to look something up on that. Hold on. Give me some Hoff for a second. real
Bryce
quick.
Young?
Yeah, but I was going to look at something else up.
I got it.
Feliz Navidad.
The one horse open sleigh a day or two ago.
Prospero año y felicidad. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you
Okay,
a Merry
so
Christmas.
I wanted to pull up the.
You a Merry Christmas.
It's a great song. Just a great fucking song. My wife does not like that I get the words wrong when I sing it out loud, but otherwise,
Try this one.
And soon Miss Fanny Bright.
It's
the worst.
It's the worst.
I didn't know it existed.
I just don't. I just don't know the words. I just sing Feliz Navidad, yo espero año y fa. I don't know what that means. I just don't know the words, but I sing it loudly, and she doesn't like it.
What does she like about you?
Not much.
Yeah.
No. Apparently there are things. I have some endearing qualities.
Derek.
No, hold on. I wanted to get to one thing about the question about Stroud.
Oh.
So the Walter Camp Awards, which people were pissed at early, but those did not include Stroud. And the finalist for the Walter Camp Player of the Year is Jordan Davis from Georgia, Kenny Pickett from Pitt, Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan, Kenneth Walker, and Bryce Young. So it'll come in all different forms. And if Bryce Young and Stroud cancel each other out a little bit because there's not a clear quarterback, the question is, will Hutchinson take some of that Walker, vote. I don't know. I think it could be a really interesting vote because I don't know. You could see things that aren't that. There have been a few years where it's a really close vote, about 3 or 4 down. This could be one of those years.
Derek Maraban, how do you feel about the airlines price gouging for tickets to Phoenix for the Fiesta Bowl from Detroit Metro? $1,900 for a ticket. Big screen TV. Here I come.
So, Derek, I saw this and I got nervous because I'm hoping our corporate account has a better deal because I'm going to have to book some tickets here. That's a lot. That's ridiculous because, number one, people don't even have that to book yet. I mean, like, it's not even.
Just drive.
That's a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's ass, by the way, if that's what they're doing. That's complete ass. If an airline's doing that, fuck that airline. Boycott that airline. Let's take them down.
Take Spirit. Spartan Johnny, I don't buy too many jerseys anymore, especially those of 20-year-old kids. But is Kenneth Walker worthy of a purchase? What's the last jersey you guys purchased?
Well, you're wearing a Hank Gathers one, which is badass.
That's given to me by a listener, yeah.
Yeah, but that's badass.
It is great.
And Kenneth Walker, to me, will have some staying power because he's this one-year dude who is incredible. Like, you'll see Walker, I think that would be a
But is
cool
it weird
jersey.
for a grown man our age to
Right.
wear a 20-year-old's jersey, though?
I don't wear jerseys, period. Right.
Well, because you can't fit in them.
That's true.
But you're not going to wear a Michigan State jersey.
No.
Right?
Yeah, I don't
In the
know.
press box?
I always
Hondo?
think it's a little. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's.
I love jerseys. I like the old school basketball jerseys. I'm a big fan of those.
Yeah.
Baseball and NFL. I don't
To me, it's one of the sexiest things in the world, a woman in a jersey.
All right. Okay.
I'm just saying. Just
All right.
putting that out there.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
It means that you think that's hot.
Yeah, I do.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Spartan Johnny, can Spartan Nation take a deep breath on Hauser? Realize it's barely December and let the kid try to find his game without being a complete assholes. I'm ready to reset my expectations, set too highly by Tom, for the kid.
There's no question that Izzo didn't help Joey Hauser at all. I mean, Izzo's intro press conference was about how he was the difference for Hauser was he was the difference between a national championship and not in that 1920 season that got ended by the pandemic anyway. But it
wasn't just Izzo. I mean, you guys were.
No, but
touting.
Izzo was, the hyperbole was incredible. It was about, like, this guy passes like magic. It was like, what do you do? Like, I think Izzo really thought he had something there, and I don't think that he's performed to that level. And I do think he probably does show out in practice at certain, because Izzo, to this day, seems convinced that Joey Hauser is going to be a really good player for them. And I think what they need to do is, again, reset expectations, but they need him to hit some shots. And then from there, you think about what he did against Wisconsin last year, that like 25-point game on Christmas Day or whatever, and just how it's kind of fallen since then. Like, he looked like a guy who is a shooter, just as a shooter could elevate you on a given day, and we just haven't seen that.
Next one from Spartan Johnny. When you've had too much Sky Mint, have you ever experienced anxiety like you were pretty sure if you fell asleep you'd stop breathing? Me either. But if that happened, how might you handle it? I had to watch Seinfeld to calm the F down. Hashtag Sky Mint responsibility, my friends.
Responsibly.
Responsibly and responsibly, yeah.
Yeah, you've had a similar experience, haven't you, once? With
True, but you always have to remember, Spartan Johnny, that you're not going to die from weed.
Yeah.
I really haven't heard of anyone dying from marijuana, so I just keep that in the back of my mind. And also, if you're at home, just get under the covers and just hold on tight. And it shouldn't happen very often. Try to get some of the weed with the THC and the CBD. The CBD kind of kicks that kind of effect. So that's why the 1-in-1s that Sky Mint has.
When I first got into gummies, like, I had no idea how many you're supposed to take. And I remember that they're so good, thinking, what, do I eat the bag? Like, I didn't have any idea.
What did you guess at the beginning?
How many that I was supposed to eat safely? I would have guessed 3 or 4. And I didn't. I asked somebody
That's 15
first.
mgs. Or no, 30 mgs. Okay.
Like, yeah. So, but I asked somebody.
But you have never taken one before, and you grab a bag, and your first thought is, I should probably take 3 of these.
Look who you're talking to. Yeah, I eat lots of things without asking questions. That's just sort of who I am. I mean, it's.
I've never done heroin before. Grab the giant spoon. It's like, what? Room temperature takes. Should MSU want Spencer Rattler from the portal? Or should we be content with Peyton Thorne and soon to be Caton Hauser, hoping he's not related to Joey? Hey, be nice.
Be nice, number 10.
No Rattler. No way.
You don't mess with the Peyton Thorne thing you got going on right now. Because here's what happened. Rattler was not as good as Thorne this year. I mean, he got benched. And so if you bring in another guy, you're saying to Thorne, like, we don't believe in you after you just had a pretty good year. And so say that whole thing goes to shit, and then Rattler's not that good. Now you screwed up your quarterback situation. To me, you've got a young guy, and you've got other guys they like in the program, by the way. You've got a couple young guys you're developing. You're bringing in Caton Hauser, and you've got a guy who's established. It's a great quarterback situation. Let those other guys grow, and you try and keep as many of them in the program as you can. But not many people in the country have a better situation than Michigan State does with Peyton Thorne right now, given that you're likely to have him for 2 more years.
Jeff Oswald, how close is Izzo to sending Walker back to Northeastern with Hoggard as a package deal and playing Christie or Akins at point?
I don't think you're going to see Akins at point. And part of the reason that people love Jaden Akins right now is that he's not part of that turnover machine at point guard. Like, he's playing off the ball. He's got kind of, I don't want to say it's an easy job, but it's a lot easier job than running the point. Christie, I do think they'll put the ball in his hands a little more, and Izzo talked about that last night. You saw them try to do it. He'll bring the ball up the floor too. I mean, they're looking to find ways, because he's a guy he's a natural with the ball in his hands. We saw it at Butler too, the way he would get in the lane and finish, and a couple of the moves he has. But I think those 2 point guards they're not Cassius Winston, but Walker especially I think is going to be a really fine point guard for a couple of years.
Jeff Oswald, is Izzo more frustrated with Hauser or the way social media is treating him? And what can Jay Billis possibly have against bowlers and dartists?
I guess these are 2 separate things. Was Billis doing the game last night? Was he?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He said that if bowling is not a sport, any sport that you can drink and smoke a cigarette while doing, it's not a sport.
You can do that playing softball, and you can do that playing basketball.
Hoops, dude.
Yeah.
Black and mild in my mouth.
And by the way, darts, part of being great at darts is finding that zone when you're a little bit buzzed and just riding it. I mean, that's
You didn't see Jay Billis at the game at all?
I guess I wasn't paying attention. No.
Damn.
I don't. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah. I didn't see. He wasn't down low in the. Maybe he was doing it from afar. Was he at the game, or was he doing one of those remote broadcasts?
I have no idea.
He might not have been.
I thought he was there.
He might not even be. Maybe he was. Because I walked right by the ESPN folks. I just didn't even see him. It's not.
It's that 6'9" bald guy.
Yeah. It's not.
Overly tan.
Yeah. It's just. So the Izzo is frustrated with Hauser, though. To say that, I mean, you're not the only ones frustrated with Hauser. There's no question. I think he's just trying to not lose the kid.
Next one from Jay. Jay Riemenschneider. I haven't watched 1 minute of pro sports in over 6 years. No Super Bowl, no Daytona 500, no U.S. Open, tennis, or golf, no heavyweight bout, no NHL regular season, nothing. Could you two imagine doing that yourself?
No.
No, man.
I mean, what else would we do?
Fuck no. Like, why?
I mean, I like
what happened to you, Jay?
I like Lifetime Christmas movies and Hallmark Christmas movies, but those are only 2 months a year. I need the other things for the other 10 months.
Daytona 500, okay.
Yeah, we tried. You remember we tried to do NASCAR during the pandemic? It was rough. It did not work. It was like, we're going to get into this.
Typical couch in the room.
We're going to have
vote for our driver we're supposed to have. Fucking desperate. Next one from Jay. Am I the only crazy cantankerous old timer that doesn't mind 3-hour movies, though I'm not a big movie watcher, 4-hour college football games, or commercials?
So
Jesus,
I'm not like I hated when a few years ago. It's been a decade or more now, I guess, but that college football, they tried to shorten the games by the clock doesn't automatically stop when you're out of bounds unless there's under 2 minutes to go or whatever. They were doing a bunch of stuff, and they got rid of some of it.
We don't need any of that shit. Just stop reviewing every play because the refs are scared.
Well, my big thing is we get college football basically for 3 months. The other 9 months, we're waiting for college football. Why would you make it shorter? There's so many things in life to make shorter.
Because some of these games, they drone on. It isn't like you're getting action sports football. You're getting bullshit. You're getting commercial breaks. You're getting you have to sit there and wait for a referee to tell you that they're going to review the
I'm
play.
Good with that, but don't shorten the actual game itself is what I'm saying. You want to shorten, Fox's 46 commercials. I'm okay with that. 3-hour movies. If it's a great movie, I'm good with it. I'm great with a good 3-hour movie if I like the movie.
Yeah. Jay Riemenschneider, what's the difference between journalist, beat writer, columnist, etc.?
Well, beat writers and columnists should both also be journalists, so they're all under one umbrella. A beat writer is somebody. Think of it like a beat cop versus a detective. for the beat writer versus columnist.
Wow.
One is paid to do the grunt work. The other's paid for their thoughts. And
boy, you better get it right when you're addressing one, because if you don't, they will tell you.
Well, that's people always say. Why don't you? Why
If you call a columnist a beat writer, holy shit, you better watch your ass.
People always would you go to Detroit to cover the Pistons? I don't think I'd ever leave to go. I mean, would I go to Detroit to be a beat cop rather than be a detective in Lansing? You know what I mean? Like I don't want to go. I don't want to react to every little piece of news and have to write every. Being a beat writer is not great. It's not a great life. It's just not. And so yeah, the columnist is columnist is really cool because there aren't many, and I joke about these things, but there are not many places in this world where you have a platform for your thoughts and people pay you for what you think, and a lot of people may not want to hear it, but it's still the idea that you're paid for your thoughts is humbling sometimes and really damn cool.
Next one from Jay. When wearing a gray suit or blue suit, don't you agree brown shoes are the play instead of black shoes?
So I asked my wife about this today because I didn't know. I show up with
brown shoes, man.
I show up with no. She says it's brown shoes with a blue suit. With a gray suit, it's black.
Oh, all right then.
That's what she thought. I don't know. Therese is here. What does Therese think on that?
Brown or black? Oh, shit, we're not doing this. All right, Kevin from Rochester Hills.
And there you've seen the great interactions between...
Oh, shit, man, it's terrible podcasting here. Kevin from Rochester Hills. Will Mel Tucker win a natty before douchebag Brian Kelly?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, certainly LSU is a place that they've won national titles before. I don't think he's going to lose there, so... The odds are not in Mel Tucker's favor. I mean, it could happen. And back to Jay's question about the difference between journal, like the beat writer and columns, everything should be under the tenets of journalism, though. Where you're writing reporting-based columns. Ideally, you're living in some level of truth and accountability.
Kevin from Rochester Hills. Is LSU a better job than Notre Dame, or was this a money grab?
It's a different job than Notre Dame. I don't know if it's better because I think for some people, Notre Dame has this aura to it, and I think it's a better job if you've already done Notre Dame, maybe, and you know what that's about. But I can see a lot of people moving the other way, like Notre Dame being the job for a lot of people that they would do. So I don't know that it's better; it's just different.
Al, my 7-year-old nephew wants to know why the Lions have always been awful. How do I respond?
What would you say?
Well, a wise man, Tum Tum Nairn, once said, "Hey, at least it's not cancer."
Pretend you're speaking to a 7-year-old. You're good with kids.
I could talk to it. That's what I would say is tell a 7-year-old.
At least
grow up fast if you're going to be a Lions fan.
All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Just don't do it. That's what I would say. Al, could a hoops player quit mid-season and join the G League Ignite team?
I think so. That's a good question, though, because it's through the – yeah, I would think so. That's a great question. I have no idea.
Al, how many columns does Graham have to provide a week, a year?
Yeah, it varies by the. I don't have like a set number a week. It's based on what's going on. Usually it's this time of year. It's about 5 in football season. That
for a year, just 5?
No, for the week.
Oh,
but sometimes it's just 2 or 3 in the summer. It's it's about 200 some for a year. I mean, that's the hardest part of the job, right? Is having the
summer
coming up with the summers suck, but coming up with 200 ideas is the key. If you got that, the rest of it takes care of itself.
Steve Beckman. Who got robbed by the Big Ten Conference Awards more, Jaden Reed or Bryce Behringer?
So Jaden Reed got what? 3rd team receiver, and what did he get? I forget what he got in the return man. Behringer.
Do we really need 3 teams?
It makes people feel good.
Does it?
Yeah. I don't know that either.
Ask Jaden Reed about it.
Yeah.
See what he thinks.
Yeah. Probably Jaden Reed.
Steve Beckman. Should Aiden Hutchinson receive any Heisman votes if he didn't even get better stats than Attic Bro Kenny Willekes in his 2019 season?
But here's the thing. Kenny Willekes didn't affect games the same level as Aiden Hutchinson.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. What now?
I'm telling you right now, I did not see people holding Kenny Willekes the same way.
They were holding Kenny the whole time. They had to do barrel rolls to get to the quarterback.
Are hanging on a dear life with Aiden Hutchinson. That guy is something.
Yep. Steve Beckman. Will Mel Tucker be able to sign a 4-star recruit from Louisiana while Brian Kelly is the coach at LSU?
Yeah, Kelly's got a lot of skill, and he's a decent recruiter, but he's not going to recruit better than the Swamp Thing. That's not. They just got rid of a great recruiter. Coach O is a great recruiter. That's not going to be.
Go Tigers.
That's not going to get harder down there.
Steve Beckman, who will have MSU's best dunk by the end of the season? Gabe Brown, Jaden Akins, or Marcus Bingham?
So Gabe Brown is the most likely to dunk over people. That guy just goes up and he's like, fuck it. I don't know if this is going to go in, but I'm going to dunk over you. Marcus Bingham's too tall for it to be the best dunk. Jaden Akins, though, might have the prettiest because he's the guy who glides. But I'll say it's Gabe Brown because at some point he's going to look Kofi Cockburn in the eye and just say, I'm going over you, man.
Cockburn.
You're going to never look Cockburn in the eye. And by the way, doesn't Marcus Bingham already have the dunk of the year so far in the win there, the alley-oop?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah,
but
right.
Yeah, it's early.
Whatever. Steve Beckman. Is Graham going to post the updated pick'em standings before the contest is over? Or is he going to blame the Skyman for his lying?
It's going to happen. I was hoping today. Every day it's like
Skyman doesn't make you lie.
No. Skyman's not. Skyman's a truth teller, if anything. Yeah. No, it was, every day it's on my to-do list, and it's the thing that gets bumped the next day when things go awry. So, I
begged you to not do this contest.
I will get it fucking done.
I will get it done. Don't do it.
I will get it done.
It's not going to happen.
It's going to get done.
Kenny Golds. When can we expect to see Keon Coleman and Malik Carr on the MSU basketball team? What kind of impact will they have?
Good answer to that. We're going to take one more quick break. Couch in the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. Two amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience.
You're listening to Couch in the Roof.
What are you on, a radio or the TV?
SpotlightRadioNetwork.com.
Couch in the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, with stores throughout Michigan and 3 in the greater Lansing area. But chances are you live within half an hour of one if you live in Michigan. You go to skymint.com for location information and use the Couch in the Roof promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off at any location. And our Thursday evening show, also presented by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Download the app today. Make your bets, enjoy their promos, and make some money this weekend. Have some fun. Have some action. That makes every game so much more fun until you until you lose. All right, back to these Groovy Donut Twitter questions. To the one we just had about Malik Carr and Keon Coleman and what kind of impact they might have and when they'll join the basketball team. If they both do join it, it won't be until after this bowl game. And so you're looking at, the first week of January. And then look how hard it is for a guy like Pierre Brooks to get on the court. He didn't get in the rotation until game 8. That's the Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan. A guy who played against probably similar talent because he played at a low level to Keon Coleman. And he's been at every practice his whole time. And he's actually, it's hard to do it. Very few guys can do it well. And Malik Carr, I think, given his size, has a chance to be a certain, a smaller version of Matt Trannon and maybe do some things a big guard. But I'll be surprised if either one of them play a consequential role on this team. And both of them at some point will have decisions to make. And for Carr, I think he'll play MSU basketball because it's part of the reason he transferred. He wanted to do that at Purdue. I think both these guys fancy themselves as basketball players. But Carr's football career, I am almost sure, is going to take off. And I think this may be a one-year thing. Coleman really wants to be a hooper. And so we'll see. But he's also a guy who's now – he's got an opportunity next year to have a bigger role in football. Like, you miss spring practices, you miss off seasons. Like, do you want to do that at a competitive position? I think those guys are going to have big questions because it's going to be hard for them to get on the court and hoops. And maybe, but having that experience 1 year, I would bet both of them try to do it for sure.
Kenny Golds, why does the Freep have W for Wolverines before S for Spartans on their website section headers?
It's a good question. And it's a fair question. Yeah, I defend the Freep and the News, and because I'm telling you, there's not a blue wall. And I'll give you the best example of them. Here's a great example of not having a blue wall and overdoing it. Michigan State is playing Penn State, and what was a big game the same day as Michigan-Ohio State, which is a much bigger game. And the Detroit Free Press had all of the columnists in Ann Arbor. The Detroit News sent John Neo to Spartan Stadium. And I remember saying to him, like, why the fuck are you here? He's like, good question. That's them trying to prove there's no blue wall. They go out of their way. That was a bad news judgment decision, sending one of your columnists to East Lansing on the day of that other game. And they did that in part because they're trying to show that they're
so there is a blue wall. They're trying to cover up.
No, they're just trying.
There isn't.
No, but they make a point that there's not. Is what I mean.
But you all were looking at Nayo saying, "What are you doing here?" Though.
Well, because but if the biggest game had been in East Lansing, it would have been ridiculous for them to be in Ann Arbor. Is what I'm saying. The bigger, just news judgment game, objectively speaking, was in Ann Arbor. But it's a fair question because S does come before W. Michigan is closer to Detroit. Traditionally, there are more readers there, and that's just objectively speaking. But it's a fair observation for sure.
Eric Larson, the Hawkeyes will be lucky to score 10. They will look slow and get pushed around easily. Only a 3+ turnover performance will give them any chance. I've watched every Iowa game this year. My wife's a Hawkeye, and they have no chance.
This makes me want to bet Michigan.
Yeah, when people tell me that they've watched every game and there's no chance, I tend to listen to those people.
We like you, Eric. So I am going to get onto the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app now and definitely make that bet and add it to what I'm betting this weekend, along with the Chelsea game and Georgia as well on Saturday. I like Michigan a lot. I've seen these games go unexpectedly, and that's what makes me a little nervous, and it makes me a little nervous about the Georgia game. But when I just look at it from who these teams are, I think Georgia and Michigan probably roll these games. Before we move on, donut of the week right now at Groovy Donuts, this dark chocolate candy cane old-fashioned, sour cream old-fashioned donut topped with dark chocolate icing, candy cane crumbles, and a drizzle of mint icing. This tasty treat is available by pre-order only. You can place your order on the online store at groovydonuts.com or by calling or visiting the East Lansing or Williamston locations during business hours. That's Thursday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. All right, back to the Groovy Donut Twitter question.
Eric Larson, did Izzo lose all of his suits during the pandemic?
You're seeing it throughout college basketball. They're just coaches basically. It's one of the things they've held over from the pandemic. They've decided they're not going to wear suits again, and you're seeing
man, this is really comfortable not having to wear a tight suit.
I thought about it today. I was wearing sweats, and I was going to have to go out to MSU basketball practice. The problem is I wear these one sweats that I really like around the house that my wife says show my crotch a little too much. So they're kind of tight soccer sweats, and so I had to change them, put on real pants.
So wait, your wife said there's too much of your crotch in her face?
It's not
so
what she
put
said.
on an extra layer?
She didn't want my crotch in Izzo's face is what she didn't want.
Oh.
Yeah.
Matt Drillette, what lineup adjustments does Izzo make if Hauser doesn't improve?
Well, I was surprised to see Hauser back in the starting lineup over Malik Hall, and I wonder if they'll do that one more game as they try to get Hauser going. And I think Hall is not somebody who's bothered by it, and he's playing a lot of minutes, so it's not making a huge difference. But, again, if Hauser continues to struggle, not only is it more Hall, but I do think, with Akins and Pierre Brooks and guys like that, if their roles expand, you might see somebody like Gabe Brown play a little at the 4, maybe Julius Marble. Two bigs doesn't really work that well together very often in college basketball these days, so I don't know if you'll see a lot of that. The best case scenario for Michigan State is frankly this, that Hauser starts shooting threes at a 40% clip, plays a decent role, people stop hating him, his life gets better, and Michigan State's a better basketball team for it.
Matt Drillette, my 81-year-old mother just quoted Couch to me. How should I react? And what if she quotes the Rube to me? Not sure I'm prepared.
What did she say? I hope it was just appreciate you and not like,
you know what? That Rube is right. College refs are ass.
Yeah. Oh, what this Cockburn guy? I don't know how you should feel about it, but I respect your mom, by the way. I think she's awesome.
Did she say appreciate you then?
I hope it was that.
No. Bo McJunkins. Is Joey Hauser suffering Russell Bird syndrome? It seems purely confidence-based on the shooting.
So Russell Bird was injury that became confidence. And, yeah, I mean, Russell Bird had to get away, and he went to that master's college in L.A., played NAIA ball for a year, averaged like 19 points, got a lot of confidence, and had a decent pro career for a while after it, too, at a fairly okay level. And so he wasn't done playing basketball. And I could see Joey Hauser doing something like that where he just wanted to go somewhere. I'm not saying the master's college, but you want to go somewhere else and – you go to a mid-major and you light it up for a year and you just feel better about yourself, and then you have a decent pro career somewhere.
What is the Masters College?
It's an NIA school in Los Angeles. He had a connection out there.
And they're just called the Masters?
The Masters, yeah.
Interesting. Bo McJunkins, did you know Aiden Hutchinson is the greatest player to ever live behind Jabril Peppers? Meanwhile, Will Anderson has better stats and no recognition. U of M coverage is nauseating.
Yeah, Anderson's a pretty phenomenal player and doesn't get the hype that Hutchinson does. But Hutchinson's phenomenal too. He is a phenomenal talent. There's no question.
Next one from Bo. Whose side do you take in the baseball lockout? I side players. Don't feel bad for billionaires who cry poverty.
It's a non-salary cap sport, so it's hard to side with the players too. Yeah, right.
I mean, it's all guaranteed cash.
And these guys
there's Bobby Bonilla Day where he gets $1 million every July 4th or whatever. First,
I do understand the idea that the players don't like having to be 30 before you get to be a free agent in baseball. You're under team control for a long time. I do think it's bullshit that like this year the Tigers have a couple young players. If they keep them in the minors an extra 4 weeks, they lose a whole year of that stuff can go away, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does. So
take care of your minor league players.
Yeah. And don't expand the playoffs or you'll piss me off.
Watch out, baseball.
Yeah, careful.
Tyler, shameful Wednesday pick of the day by Harry, siding with Louisville and the points
It wasn't great.
At MSU. What shameful picks did you two make this week?
Well, the worst thing I did is I was on the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app today.
We get it.
During the Man U game.
Uh-oh.
And I won Man U. I already had Man U to beat Arsenal. But there was an early goal where the goalie fell down, and the live line went to 3.5 goals over under. And I was like, this game's going to be under that. Still going to be under that. And I put a fair amount on the under 3.5 goals, and the final wound up being 3-2. So that was the shameful, dumb pick of the day, and I should have seen that coming. But, yeah, Harry missed on the Louisville pick. You have a bad bet this week?
Absolutely not. Mine are all gold. Tyler, 30 seconds. Bazooka to the head. Where the fuck is Incarnate Word? Lots of guys dying on that one.
Texas, right? Somewhere?
San Antone, baby.
Yeah, thought so. Yeah, I've actually been buying Incarnate Word. Now I think about it. Yeah.
You've been to what?
I've been by Incarnate Word in San Antonio. I was there, and I remember seeing it and being like, oh, that's where Incarnate Word is.
Bragger.
Yeah, what do you know?
Did anyone respond?
No, my wife was like, what? Huh?
Hey, there's Incarnate Word. Tyler, Oregon will beat Utah. Am I crazy?
I think Utah wins again. I just think they were that much better the first time around. But
That was in Utah, though, at night.
Harry disagrees, too, so who knows?
Call me Al. Is there an MSU player we haven't seen much that you think could have a significant role in the bowl game?
I mean, I do think there's a chance that like a Malik Carr or somebody has that day, but is there somebody that's like totally out of the blue that comes and has a big day? I doubt it. At this point, you kind of know who the guys are. Maybe it's a young receiver, though. I mean, that's the one thing that does happen in bowl prep when you get a lot of young guys' time is somebody emerges, they work them in the game plan. So that sort of thing could absolutely happen.
Call me Al. Do the extra bowl practices really mean as much as bad teams claim? Or Comparoni claims?
I've talked to coaches about this. Some say yes, some say no. And some coaches really like it with younger players, and they get a sense of things, and it helps them in recruiting and other stuff. But I think it's overstated.
Call me Al. Explain how Doug and Gator are on the radio and you're not.
I don't even know who Doug and Gator are.
Doug Karsh, and then they're 97.1 guys. I can't remember the Gator dude's
I'll say this.
name.
People know we could be on the radio if we wanted to. We were, at one point there was that sort of opportunity here.
But it's lower level than 97.1.
It is, but what I'm saying, the money's not any better, and you lose the ability to say, fuck that shit. And you got to take.
But I would give up fuck that shit if it meant a payday.
If it meant if it wanted a big pay, sure. But ultimately, for what? Yeah, to be in Lansing radio.
I could say holy graham cracker.
Yeah.
Aw, shucks.
And we'd have to take 4 breaks an hour again. How bad would that be?
Sounds awesome.
Well, for you, you got the bladder of a 2-year-old. But
all right. Patrick Russell. Sorry, Doug and Gator. I don't know. Patrick Russell. Does Kenneth Walker need both Alabama and Michigan to lose Saturday to have any shot at the Heisman? If Michigan wins, who does Hutchinson mostly draw votes from? What scenario with the games this weekend gives Walker the best shot in a wide-open race?
So if Michigan, I think, obviously if the quarterbacks, if Hutchinson doesn't have a memorable day, if Young doesn't have a memorable day for Alabama, I think that helps. What you want is just it gets all mucked up, and Kenneth Walker has got enough first and second and third place votes, because that's what it ultimately comes down to. It's not just the first place votes. You vote for 1, 2, and 3, that he winds up there. And maybe especially if Young has a really bad day where he gets, where Georgia's defense makes him look bad, and if Michigan doesn't get to the quarterback and Iowa moves the football, I think those are the scenarios where Hutchinson looks irrelevant and somehow, which I don't think is going to happen, and Alabama gets shelled, and that could happen just because Georgia's defense is that good.
Kenneth Runner III. Big Ten West football game day experiences ranked best to worst.
It's hard to say because everything is, a lot of people love Madison. I like Madison as a town, love Madison as a town. But I've had, one horrible experience there when I was sick and had to walk a long way from the parking lot. I had one great experience. And I don't take part in the tailgating and all that stuff. And so, some places people think are great. I don't like. I like Purdue a lot because Purdue picks you up in a golf cart from your parking spot for the media, and everything's easy and nice. Like I like Purdue. I'm a big fan of Purdue, but most people probably wouldn't be.
Chris Fletcher, are college refs colluding with Couch and the Rube now that apparel is being sold, calling them out? More bad calls equals more sales of gear.
That is the plan. By the way, and we'll tweet this out again, if you go to our Twitter account or you go to our Facebook page, you can find our link to our Shopify store and buy Couch and the Rube apparel for Christmas, for your loved ones, for yourself. If you've always wanted to wear a shirt that says college refs are ass, you can do that now. You can do that, and you can college refs are ass, Couch and the Rube, and those are available, both T-shirts and hoodies. And if you order by December 8th, we will get it to you for Christmas.
Spartan 18770. Without Googling the answer, what 2 teams played in the 2019 Fiesta Bowl and the score? What 2 teams played in the 2019 Peach Bowl and the score? You can't remember because why? You didn't give 2 shits who won those games. So stop telling us to root for Michigan to get a better bowl game. Fans won't remember this year's New Year's Day games, but they will remember Michigan winning a Big Ten championship and a college football playoff. Go Iowa. Fuck Michigan. Also, great show. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, Spartan. No, I get this sentiment from people. I do think the Fiesta Bowl will be remembered. People remember the Citrus Bowl, don't you? You remember the 99 Citrus Bowl. You remember the Rose Bowl. You remember the Cotton Bowls. You will remember. The Michigan State fans will remember these experiences. So I think there's something to that. But I also think there's an argument that the Citrus Bowl isn't that far down, especially if it's the Peach Bowl, that if it meant Iowa winning, you'd take that.
But if Spartan 18770, this is a guy that wore a jersey to a wedding and would have wore a helmet, I'm guessing. If he's saying that he doesn't care about the bowl game, right? You have to kind of listen to that guy.
No doubt, and that's one. Again, I'll bring the dead dad into it though.
Oh, shit. Not again. Dropping this card once an hour.
That's bad. That's just,
jeez.
Yeah, it's not great. Fix that in post.
Ron, quick Sody, over under 34%. Where does the Spartan team 3-point percentage finish by year's end?
I think they should be a decent three-point shooting team, but part of the problem is Hauser's shooting so miserably right now, and you haven't seen much from Christie yet, and I think Christie's got a good shot, and I think Tyson Walker's a pretty good shooter there too. I think they'll finish. 34% is pretty standard level, but I think they've got a chance to be a good three-point shooting team. But you're not going to do it if you got guys like Hauser shooting down in the teens.
Next one from Ron. Based on what you are seeing now, who are the top 3 teams in the Big Ten come March?
And by the way, Hauser's percentage is actually in the 20s. I think it's not that bad. But top 3 teams are Purdue for sure. I like Illinois a lot. And I think Michigan State has a chance to be there. I thought Michigan was going to be better than they are. We'll see if they can fix that thing. Ohio State, I still have questions about the point guard play. Still not entirely sold on that as much as I was earlier. Maryland, got a coaching problem as always. I think Michigan State's got a chance to be in the mix in that top 3.
Next one from Ron. Does Tucker land any more big recruits this cycle? If so, who?
Yeah, I can't answer that if I knew. But certainly this will be interesting because they've got openings. They've got a few, and this is what you save them for. And you've gone 10-2, and you've signed the big contract. Like it'll be telling a little bit now if they take some. They're going head to head for a few guys right now, and if you land one of those or 2 of those, because if you add a couple 4-stars to this class, all of a sudden it becomes the best class at Michigan State in the internet era, right? Already, and that's really the second class of Mel Tucker. And then, and that's pretty promising.
Ken Chu, what idiot thinks white font on a bright yellow background is a good idea? I had to keep my sports app open to know how far Michigan was behind North Carolina.
Yeah, I noticed that. It was a little hard to
what sports app?
Well, I don't know what that was, but I noticed that on TV it was difficult to read, is what he's saying. Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Next one, Darkman Antonio. How do you think Michigan State fans should feel if Michigan beats Iowa? I know I was rooting like hell for Iowa in the 2015 Big Ten title game, just as I know MSU fans will be this Saturday.
Yeah, fans will feel differently. They'll feel how they feel, and there's no wrong way to feel. But I do think the majority of them will not be happy. I think part of it is, too, it's the way Michigan fans and Michigan State fans interact and the way Michigan fans treat Michigan State fans, that Michigan State fans do not want those people to have a good feeling and enjoy it, because they can't enjoy it without – they can't just enjoy it themselves. They have to throw it back in MSU's face, and they know that's what's coming.
Darkman Antonio, do we really care about your opinions and views, or do we just like to hear our questions read out loud?
I don't really. As long as they keep coming in, I'm okay. I'd like to think at some point, though, if you just want to hear your questions, this is a really long show and a long way to do that. You can just record your own voice and play it back.
It's really hot in here. Next one from Dark. Jason, you and a lot of MSU fans seem to be pretty happy with Penn State keeping Franklin and Michigan keeping Harbaugh. Do you think Mel Tucker will own them, or you're completely content going about 500 versus them? That's what it's been the last 6 or so years, because neither one of them is going to fall off. I don't know if
Tucker's going to own them, but I think he can certainly. I mean, Michigan is Michigan. They're going to recruit no matter who they get as coach or keep Harbaugh, right? I don't know if Tucker is going to own them, but he will be up in the conversation.
Right,
and that's all Michigan State fans really want, right?
Right. I think they're okay being 500 against Michigan. What they know is Harbaugh is never going to own them. Right. They don't, and that's what they feel good about. Same with Franklin, certainly.
Dark. Why do you talk about Michigan fans staying in their lane and shouldn't get joy from MSU losses, but you never say it when MSU does the exact same thing? All fan bases have crazy fanatics, including MSU, who has as many as anyone else that talk trash and get pleasure from a rival's woes.
No doubt. And I think the best thing for Michigan State is that Michigan cares so much. Now, it used to be one-sided. Like, Michigan would move on from MSU, and then it was just Michigan and Ohio State. The fact that MSU is so much in Michigan's heads that they care enough to talk trash, to be smug, to try to make a point that they're better even when they haven't had a grip on the rivalry. I think that's great for MSU. No, I think it's great that the Michigan fans do care, and that I'm 100% with you on that.
M. Chilbert, when that Ohio State early enrollee quarterback came in against Michigan State for the first snap of his career, half his helmet was stickered. He's supposed to still be in high school. How can he have earned so many helmet stickers?
It's a great question, but he's also like 24 years old. So all these kids are supposed to be in high school, but graduated or would have graduated at 26. I don't want them being like getting credit for being there early.
Next from Chilbert, along the same lines, is wearing eye black smeared across one eye, a la Hutchinson, an admission that's purely decorative and has no meaning/purpose.
Yeah, I mean, I know baseball players do it for meaning, right, with the sun and everything, but I've never understood the meaning. It's never. I did it once when I was playing 7th grade football on a cloudy day, and I didn't really understand what I was doing.
Chilbert, will any of the remaining Power 5 championships or college football playoff games play on natural grass and not under a dome?
Yeah, well, not the playoff games, I don't think. Well, yeah, because the Orange Bowl is one right this year, so the Orange Bowl is natural grass. And the Fiesta Bowl, if you're talking college football playoff, is natural grass. But yeah, I think the Orange Bowl is the one this year that's on grass.
Steve, Jason, is Elsie named after a cow? Ovid named after a virus? Yeah. Mr. Neurotic Pants, why can't we compel people to get vaccinated? No vaccine, no mass entertainment, mass transportation, government remuneration, or public occupation.
Because we're not a society that's run by the federal government. We're run by states, and states don't agree on this, and that's what it ultimately comes down to.
Mr. Neurotic Pants, besides gambling, what's the second best thing to do in Vegas?
Careful, Teresa's in the
hookers.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you got to go to
the food is
Nevada.
Great too. The food is fantastic, right?
And hookers.
Yeah.
Mr. Neurotic Pants, if MSU played in a different conference, would it still have the worst pass defense in the country?
Not if it was in the Mid-American Conference, because I've seen that conference. I've seen pass defense there, and it doesn't have the worst pass defense in the country in every way you look at it. There are just certain ways it's framed. It looks worse. It looks bad, and it is bad. I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm just saying, like, yards per play, and there are other ways to look at it in terms of red zone defense and other things. It's nowhere near the worst in the country. It's pretty in the middle.
Mr. Neurotic Pants, which MSU coach is most directly responsible for MSU's pass defense woes?
It's all Mel Tucker's fault. No,
it's Joey Hauser's fault.
Yeah, that's right. It's definitely Joey Hauser's fault. I don't. There's no way to answer that and know that, or no way for me to know that. And certainly the defensive coordinator is the guy who coordinates the D. And so ultimately it'll fall on him. And the question is, as they get better parts, will he be able to come up with a defense that has answers?
Jack Hakala, out of Mel's 10 years, how many times does he get to the playoff? You can factor in an expansion if he were to stay all 10, of course.
Say 2. I give Mel 2. That would be incredible for Michigan State. Michigan State, everybody in the Michigan State fan base would sign up for 2 in 10 years. It's hard to do. However, if it expands to 12 teams, that changes the equation. But if it's a 4-team playoff and he gets there twice, now what'll happen if it gets to 12 teams is coaches will start to get fired if they don't get there. Right now, if you don't get to the playoff, it's so hard to do it, so exclusive. Coaches don't get fired for that. But if you're not, eventually, not being in the top 12 will be a thing. And if you're making $95 million, you'll have to wind up in the top 12 every few years, or that's going to be a problem.
Jack, with this one, Mark D'Antonio versus Izzo cage match. Who you got?
I'm taking Izzo. Uper, shorter, better leverage. little younger. Not younger, older. Shorter, better leverage.
Next one from Hakala, Jack Hakala. Do y'all need a graphic designer? My sister could fart a better design on those shirts.
Hey, Jack.
I don't believe you. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's see your sister fart, and let's see the shirts.
We'll put that on the website.
We'll sell it.
Jack Hakala's sister's fart shirt. John Freeberg, why does Izzo stay with Hauser so long when he has no skill? He is complete ass.
Thank you, John. The final Hauser thought maybe. I mean, it look.
You know what? John Freeberg doesn't hold back.
No, we give you a lot of credit, John.
Hans Jurgen, who's going to kick field goals next year?
They got a freshman. I'm blanking on his name right now, but they got a new kid they like coming in, scholarship freshman. And you usually don't have more than one scholarship kicker at a time, so it'll be a true freshman.
Next one from Hans. The way this year's basketball team is playing defense without fouling and driving to the basket and dishing is giving me a boner. How about you?
Not really the same effect, but they certainly defensively are better than I thought they'd be.
Hans, how do you ask for a raise?
Politely, with tact. I don't know. How do you ask for a raise when you want one, Jason?
I've never had to ask for one.
They just give you one?
No, hell no. They just
never felt
just
warranted.
Happy. Yeah. He's making way too much. Hans, would you please follow Soccer Less and Maction more? You're letting everyone in the Midwest down. We need Mac insights. I had no idea what to expect this football season in the Mac. Don't let us down for basketball.
Hey, when I used to cover the Mac, I could make lots of money off the Mac, but you have to pay attention every night, and I don't do it anymore, and I don't want to steer you wrong. I steer you right in soccer. There's money to be made. If I start giving you Mac insights, you're going to lose money. Let me just say that. The Mac is a hard league to bet unless you're really paying attention, and I don't pay attention anymore.
Jake Hawkins, do you think there needs to be a dead period for when college coaches can interview and accept other head coaching jobs?
I think there needs to be a dead period in recruiting around this period, from Thanksgiving till the end of the title game. That'll fix, and then you have the signing day March 1st, and that will solve a lot of this. If the recruiting creates the urgency, which creates some of the stuff that's unfair to the kids at their current schools, and kind of the screwy calendar where coaches have to leave before bowl games and all that.
Next one from the Hawk. If Mel Tucker doesn't get the contract extension, which school with a job opening do you think he interviews with and possibly accepts? LSU, USC, Florida, Oklahoma, or Notre Dame?
LSU is the rumored one. I wouldn't have been surprised if Florida and USC were also interested. I think, I'll be honest, if there had not been a contract offer somewhere, though, I do think he'd be elsewhere by now.
Next one from Jake. How big was it that Mel Tucker landed Jalen Berger from Wisconsin? Can you see Jalen having a good year next season like Kenneth Walker?
He hasn't done much at Wisconsin yet. I mean, look, Kenneth Walker is arguably the best back in Michigan State history. So the idea that you would hit that twice in 1 year out of the transfer portal is just really unlikely. I mean, he'll probably be a good talent. He's going to have some other guys to compete with. I think it was a smart get, though, because you've added talent to that room.
How long has this show been? I feel like we've been doing it for like 5 days.
I can always tell when you start to get tired. We're at about 2 hours and 13 minutes, and you have 2 Groovy Donut Twitter questions left.
Yeah, no, I can read. I see it.
Okay.
Jake, do you think Jay Johnson might be up for any open group of 5 head coaching jobs?
Is it Louisiana or someplace he was in the mix for? I certainly could see that happening. I mean, he's a guy who I think has gotten some good pub and has had a good year. And I also think if he, he's got an experienced quarterback, and so it wouldn't be the end of the world for him to run this back for a year or two more, and he might get something.
Why would you want to go to Louisiana, though?
Right, in major job. Well, head coaching jobs are hard to get. A lot of these guys never get that opportunity.
Yeah. All right, last one. What did you guys honestly think of the fan who held his phone up with the caption, "Shh, the refs are thinking"?
College refs are ass. That's what I thought when I saw
straight.
that. That's
Buy
what I
shirts.
thought. Yep. Buy some shirts, and if you want.
No, you have to.
You have to. That's a requirement from Jason.
We'll ban you from listening.
We'll tweet out the link again. I'll put it on Facebook as well. We appreciate you and all your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com or either location in Lake Lansing or in East Lansing, Lake Lansing Road, or in Williamston. They're open 7 to 1 Thursday through Sunday. Appreciate Skyman. Go to skymint.com for location information and specials. Use the Couch in the Rube promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off. Thanks to Midtown Brewing Company. I will be there for lunch tomorrow, 402 South Washington Avenue. And thanks to Firekeepers. Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook. Download the app today. Play this weekend. like Jason and I will be doing. You can't lose. Actually, you can lose, but it's a lot of fun losing either way. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.